Will the link pop up on your channel? The link to the stream?
Yeah, it should. So I've got two laptops. I've got the one I'm using for this, and then I've got an older one that I use, and it should come up any time now. Here we go. So if I click on that, that'll bring it up on the other screen. I'll bring that quality down. Hey, we've got peers here. We have one viewer. Hey, more people. We have two people. Oh, three.
All right. I'm going to share the link on my Facebook.
Yeah, go for it. So it should be up now. 7 a.m. in Russia, apparently. Thanks for getting up so early.
We have two people. Oh, three. All right. I'm going to share the link on my Facebook.
Yeah. All right, we're just waiting for more people to join, and then we'll get started. We have 8 people at the moment, I think. Thanks for getting.
Well,
all right, you guys ready to rock and roll? Rock and roll. Rock and roll.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay, so this is our top 20 Japanese films from 2010 to 2017. I'm Corey. This is Pieces of Work. Joining me are Ray from Asian Filmists.
How's it going, everyone? Hey, how's it going, guys?
Next, we have Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast.
Hello.
Oh, hang on. How come you're not coming up when we talk?
Uh-oh.
Who, me? Or
no, on the live stream, it's just got you guys like as little doobie wackies. Hey, hang on. Maybe I need to. Hang on. Oh, don't tell me I've got a. It's not doing it automatically. What's happening? There's a glitch, people, of course. Hang on. What's this? Screen share? What's that? No, I don't want that. So it should automatically pick up when somebody's speaking.
Mm-hmm.
On my end, it's flipping between us, I think. But
yeah, I was just clicking then. Hang on. What have we got here? Audio, that's on. Control room's on. Oh, if I have to, I'll just click on whoever. All right, we'll do it that way. We'll do it the old-fashioned way. Okay, Ray, do you want to introduce yourself, where you're from?
Hey, how's it going, guys? This is Ray, representing one half of Asian Filmists, coming to you live from, well, it's technically not Tokyo, Japan, but it's close enough. So I'll just go ahead and say I'm coming to you from Tokyo, Japan.
Fair enough. All right, Erik.
Yes, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, of course. I'm coming to you from near Niagara Falls in New York State, which is nowhere near New York City.
But same time zone?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. All right, so what we're going to do is give our 5 honorable mentions, and we're going to start with Ray, and then Erik, and... Oh, no, sorry. We're going to start with myself, then Erik, then Ray. So for my first honorable mention, I've got a movie I reviewed quite recently. It's called R100. It's a batshit insane Japanese S&M film that I still don't really understand. And I think I need to watch it many more times to understand it. But I enjoyed it because it was just over the top and crazy. And it was like, I've never seen a film like that before. Ray, have you seen R100?
I haven't seen R100 yet, but I did watch your review, and I feel like whenever Japanese directors decide to just go crazy and all out, they don't pull any punches, and it sounds like one of those types of movies, and something
definitely.
that I enjoyed as well.
Erik, your thoughts?
I enjoyed that one. It was it was pretty crazy. I thought the ending maybe was a little bit repetitive, but I did enjoy that. That director came out with another film back in 2009 called Symbol, which is really, really interesting too.
Okay. Is that one easy to find or not really?
No.
Almost impossible. All right. All right, Erik. So your first honorable mention.
I'm going to hit you hard right from the start. It probably should be higher on my list, but there's another film from this director that I actually liked more, and that is 13 Assassins from 2010.
Yep.
This is from Takashi Miike, of course.
Yeah.
Starts Koji Yakusho. And, this is the one where a respected samurai assembles a small team of assassins to take down a sadistic lord. So a very solid film. Great action scene near the end. Definitely recommend that one.
Awesome. Okay. And Ray, your turn.
I would like to start off with my own batshit crazy entry, and that is Tokyo Tribe by
Nice.
Sono Shion. And I absolutely love it because it's a hip hop musical, and it's so over the top and so campy, and everyone just embraces that camp, and it just sold me. Like, it's overly violent, overly acted. Was it overacted and overly sexual? And I ate up every single moment of that movie.
Yeah, I was going to put that as an honorable mention, but I've got another one of his films as an honorable mention. But he's unlike Miike. I think he's still producing some good work, but All right. So
much more than Miike,
my next one, that's a good segue, is Why Don't You Play in Hell from the same director. Another crazy movie that's for movie buffs, I think. I think people that love cinema, and particularly Japanese cinema, will really enjoy this movie. The Fuck Bombers, as they call themselves. I really liked that group, and it reminded me of being young and into that kind of style of cinema. Ray, your thoughts on Why Don't You Play in Hell?
I absolutely love that movie, and that is much higher on my own list.
Right.
So
okay, we'll get to that later. What about you, Erik?
It's higher on my list as well, my friend.
Fair enough. All right, quickly, guys. I just want to mention something before we move on to Erik's. I will get to the chat once we've finished these honorable mentions, and I'll check the chat. So, Erik, your next honorable mention.
I'm going to go with a film called Grateful Dead from 2013.
Nice.
Genre bender, kind of a drama, horror, maybe a little comedy in this as well. It's about a young woman from a broken family who becomes a stalker of other lonely people and eventually becomes obsessed with an elderly man. So very nicely crafted, and the lead actress was very good.
Yeah, I really liked that movie too. That was another one I was tempted to put on there, but I didn't. Ray?
I'm kind of impressed. I actually haven't seen that one either yet, but I'm very tempted to see it now that you have mentioned that, Erik. I've seen it around, like in the DVD rental shops, but never actually bothered to go ahead and rent it. But yeah, maybe I will now.
It's totally worth watching, man. It's good.
Is it?
Yeah. All right, Ray, your next one?
My next honorable mention is The Tale of Princess Kaguya, released by Studio Ghibli and directed by Takahata Isao. It was one of 2 Ghibli movies that came out that year, the other being The Wind Rises. And personally, I preferred The Tale of Princess Kaguya because it felt more experimental with its art design. And it's a retelling of a fairy tale that pretty much all Japanese folks know. And overall, I thought just the production quality was a lot higher comparing the 2 films that came out that year.
Erik, your thoughts?
Yeah, I very much enjoyed that one. The animation is really cool in that movie as well. And the story is very interesting too. So I approve, yes.
Yeah, I totally agree. That should definitely be on somebody's list. It's not on mine, but again, what are you going to do? Okay, so my next one is a little bit out of left field, and people might be very surprised with it. I've chosen a CGI film called Tekken Blood Vengeance.
Awesome.
I'm a mad Tekken fan. I love 2D, well, 2D/3D fighters. I grew up playing Tekken, love Tekken 6. Tekken 7 is out now. I need to pick that up. But Tekken Blood Vengeance, compared to the live action Tekken movies, this thing is like just in pain. It gets everything right, about Tekken, and it's silly and dumb and probably a bit, I don't know, feminists might not like it because of some of the big boobs and the way they treat women, but I like it. I think it's fun. I think it's a fun movie. You guys agree or totally disagree? Right?
I don't know if I would put it in my honorable mentions. I think I've seen it, but it was probably in the background while we were playing games, just to kind of have some ambiance. But you know, honestly, like a lot of Japan's 3D animation movies have been pretty good these past few years. Like just recently in the theaters, they came out with the new Resident Evil movie. Tempted to watch it because it's actually supposed to be canon, taking place between the games. So I mean, they do pretty well with their game adaptations or their game spin-offs when it comes to the screen. So yeah, I mean, personally, I wouldn't put it in my honorable mentions, but I mean, it's fun.
Erik, you were laughing as well.
Oh, I'm laughing because it sounds great. I have not seen this, but now I want to see it. So
Yeah,
I'll check it out.
it's silly, but you know, it's just my personal list. It's what I like.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
Erik, your next one.
All right, I'm going to go with a recent one that from my man Shinya Tsukamoto. I'm going with Fires on the Plain from 2014. This is I don't even know if it's considered a remake of the 1959 film or not, but it's about a Japanese soldier who, you know, he's in real rough shape. He's starving, and he's in the Philippines at the tail end of World War II. And this movie is really, I guess, aesthetically, it tries to portray war as like really hell on earth. You know what I mean? And I really like the visuals and the sound design and everything in this. It really kind of gives you that experience. So I do recommend this. I think Third Window Films, I think, might be trying to get a Region 2 release with subtitles in the next few months.
Cool. I haven't seen that one. What about you, Ray?
I haven't seen either, and to be honest, like whenever Japan releases a war film, I'm always very hesitant in watching, just because if I watch in the theater, sometimes the dialogue can be over my head because it's all these military terms, and I think for the most part, like I don't know, maybe I'm just spoiled by either Hollywood or even Korean war movies, in which usually put really high production budgets into their work. So I don't know, like I've only seen a few Japanese war movies, and they're all right, but I haven't seen that one that Erik just spoke of.
All right. So your next one, Ray.
My next one is 100 Yen Love. And it's about, I don't know, it kind of took me off guard at first. It's who's the director? I have my iPad right here with the page for it up. It's directed by Take Masuharu. I don't think I've seen any of his other movies, but I thought it was going to be one of those. It's about a girl who's pretty much a slacker, and she has nothing going on with her life, and then pretty much the worst things happen. Or she gets kicked out of her home, and then she has to find a job. Then she gets hooked up with all the wrong types of dudes, but then she finds something that kind of gives her a new direction in life, and that's boxing. So then it turns into like this underdog sports movie, and I thought it was a pretty interesting shift from down out of like what is it? Like a girl down on her luck, and then suddenly it's a sports movie. So I really like the kooky characters that take up the cast as well.
Cool. I haven't seen that one either. Erik?
Yeah, that's the one I think with Sakura Ando, right?
That is, yeah.
Yeah, I like her a lot. She's good in a lot of the movies she's in. I did see that one. I found it to be very interesting. It had a nice blend of different things in it too. So yeah, it was a good one.
Cool.
Fun to watch, yeah.
I'll put that on my list. Hopefully somebody in the chat is writing these down. Usually somebody does it, or Pierre did it last time, so hopefully somebody will do it now. Okay. My next one is another Japanese CGI film. Ray, you mentioned earlier there's a Resident Evil. Is that in the cinemas now?
It's now, yeah. It just came out,
Okay.
I think, either last weekend or 2 weekends ago. I can't remember. But
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen that one, but my next one is Resident Evil Damnation, the second Resident Evil CGI film. I like the Resident Evil series, the game series. I hate the Paul W.S. Anderson movie series. I think they're just so far from the source material. It's not even funny. And I think what they're doing with the CGI films is quite good. They're bringing it back to its roots, and I like that. And I really enjoyed Resident Evil Damnation. Like I said, compared to what we're getting from Mila Jovovich and her husband, it's not too hard to make a good Resident Evil movie. So, yeah, Resident Evil Damnation, Ray?
It's one of those ones I skipped out on because it was one of those things like, all right, this is either going to be really good or really cheesy. I just chalked it up as being really cheesy because I don't know. I think because maybe at the time I noticed its release, like I wasn't too the story of the Resident Evil games weren't really imprinted in my memory. I've only played a few all the way through, so I felt like for those types of movies, if I'm going to watch it, I should really kind of be somewhat indulged in the story of the source material. And for Resident Evil, I wasn't, so that's why I decided to skip on that one.
Cool. Erik?
I'm with you on this one. This was very entertaining. I liked it. Definitely, I actually like you said, I like the first animated film before this, but this one I think was better. And those Mila Jovovich movies are just an abomination. But they are actually thinking of rebooting it and making it maybe a little bit more similar to the video games. We'll see. It might be a reboot that actually makes sense.
Yeah, I remember when the first film was when they were talking about making a Resident Evil film, and George Romero was meant to direct it, and it just didn't happen. So
I heard that James Wan is supposed to be the guy behind the reboot.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know.
So I mean,
maybe it'll be full of jump scares.
Yeah, I mean, I like what movies did he come out with? The Conjuring. I really like those movies. So I don't know if he brings some of that to Resident Evil, I'll be game for it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. He's on the Gold Coast at the moment filming Aquaman.
Oh, that's right.
I got contacted by the guy that does the his storyboards. He's James Wan storyboard artist, and he watches pieces of work.
Oh.
And he said, "Are you around? Can you show me where to go to watch the South Korean films?" And I'm like, "Sorry, man, I moved to Melbourne." So I could have been hanging out with people from that film, but nah, didn't happen.
You could have met Khal Drogo, maybe.
I could have, and my sister would have been very jealous. Okay, Erik, we're up to you, right?
Yes.
Yep.
So my fourth honorable mention here is a movie called A Story of Yosuke from 2013. Nice. Another genre bender, basically set in like the 1980s and subsequent years. It's about a warm-hearted college student, and I like how this movie showed how he affects other people. And there's certain things that happen later on that it handles very well. I'll put it that way. So I very much enjoyed this one. Very laid-back humor, and I recommend it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there, man. I enjoyed that movie. I almost put it on my list as well. Ray?
Haven't seen it. But I mean, I don't know. Japan comes out with so many movies, both large budgeted and small budgeted, so it's kind of hard to choose for me. But it sounds cool. If it's worth a mention, then I'll definitely check it out.
Cool. All right. Well, it's your turn. Number 4.
Is number 4? I thought it was number 3.
Now we're up to number 4.
Is it?
Yep.
Okay. Because it is My Love Story. Which was released in 2015. It's an adaptation of a girls' comic. So usually, I mean, all girls' comic adaptations stories are pretty much the same. But this one, it's different in the sense that for one, it takes place from the point of view of the dude. And 2, it stars one of my favorite actors right now, Suzuki Ryohei. And it's basically about a dude who's like overly masculine and so over the top, so muscular. And like the actor is obviously not a high school student, but he's so loved by the boys, but at the same time, he's what's the word? He's the girls disgust him. They think the girls are disgusted by him. They think he's like so gross and like he's not cool enough. But then one day he uses his muscles to save this one cute girl from another high school from the stalker. And unbeknownst to him, that girl starts to fall for him. And what follows is a whole bunch of kind of comedy based around miscommunication, in the sense that the main Suzuki Ryohei's character is trying to hook up the girl with his best friend, but at the same time the girl is trying to use the best friend for more information about the main guy, about Suzuki Ryohei's character, so she can win his heart. And at the same time the best friend is like trying to help them too, but because of miscommunication, comedy happens. But it's by far, I think, the most different piece of shoujo manga entertainment to ever come out.
Was it hard for you not to put that in your top 20? It sounds like you really like that movie.
I loved it just because it's so over the top. It's like, I don't know, Suzuki's facial expression, they just did it for me. I was like, usually I watch shoujo manga movies just because they're just easy to follow, and I don't know, I'm a sucker for romantic stories, but this one just took the cake. It was just really fun for me.
Cool. All right, so my number 5 for honorable mentions. I'm cheating a little bit here. It's not a Japanese film. It's 50-50. It's a Japanese-Indonesian co-production, and it's Killers. I have the poster behind me over there. I really like this movie. I know it's realistically it's a Mo Brothers film, but you know, it's a co-production, and we're not doing Indonesian films, but we're doing Japanese films. So I thought, I'll sneak it into my honorable mentions. I really like Killers. I've watched it several times. Love the Mo Brothers. Love what they do. Erik, Killers for you?
Very much
count?
Yeah, sure. Why not? I very much enjoyed it. I think it has some of the most interesting characters from the Mo Brothers filmography so far. And I actually just watched it the other week with some family members, and they seem to enjoy it too. So, yes, very good.
Ray, have you seen Killers?
I don't watch really any Indonesian productions, so that name just kind of skipped over me. The only Indonesian movies I've seen are probably the Raid movies and whatever movies that Iko Uwais, is that his name, has released, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, fair enough.
But then it's worth the mention, so I got to check it out.
Yeah, you should check it out. It's pretty crazy. It's gory as hell. It's great. All right, Erik.
All right, my last honorable mention here. I'm going to go with a film called Shady from 2012. Now, this is about like two lonely, bullied high school girls that form a friendship, and the movie develops that friendship. But as the film progresses, one of the girls may have a little bit of a psychological problem. So you have like this sense of unease that develops throughout. Like there's something wrong maybe with one of these girls. So it's kind of a drama with a little bit of like thriller in it. And I think it was very high quality film. So I recommend it.
Cool. I haven't seen that one, Ray.
Likewise, haven't seen it either. Who's the director of Shady?
Ryohei Watanabe. I'm not sure what else he directed.
I don't think the name doesn't ring a bell either for me.
Yeah.
Okay, Ray.
My last honorable mention is The Boy and the Beast, directed by Hosoda Mamoru. And, you know, he's only released a few animated... It's an anime movie, and he's only released a few anime movies under his studio, Studio Chizu. But, like, what is it? There's one other movie I liked over The Boy and the Beast, and that's actually in my top 20, but... have you guys have seen it? Yeah, I think I've seen.
It's in my list actually.
Is it okay? But yeah, I really enjoyed it. What I like about his movies is it's always about some kind of familial. Well, so far at least, his movies have been about some kind of familial bond. Like Boy and the Beast is about kind of a paternal figure and the son. And they really did that relationship really well in this movie, and almost to the point I almost cried in theater, but yeah, it was a really great movie.
Cool. Erik, Boy and the Beast?
Yeah, I very much enjoyed that one too. I liked the interaction. It had it set everything up real nice, and it developed things properly too. So yeah, I very much enjoyed that one. Good choice.
All right, I'm just going to go to the chat and see what people are saying here. So who have we got?
I apologize if my coughing is taking up a lot of the sound. I'm getting over a cold.
That's all right. Well, I've got one. So, yeah, it's going around internationally, apparently.
For sure.
All right. So we have Javier from Argentina. Hi, Piers in Norway. It's 6 a.m. God. Thanks for getting up, guys. We've got Zach, Art Vandelay from Vandelay Industries selling all that latex. I get the joke. Okay, Jorge Sanchez from San Antonio. Hello. Jason. Hello, Jason.
Oh, Jason's here too.
Jason's here. In Love K Kim G1. I'm guessing that's not your real name, but thank you. Ishman Chowdhury. Hopefully, I probably get your names wrong, guys. Session 7. Hey, mate. He's from Austin, Texas. Jason's from Seoul. We know that. Okay. I think that's it. Jason says, yo, Corey. Yo, Jason. We'll have you on the next Korean one sometime next month, hopefully. Just before we get into this, do you guys ever check the demographics for where your viewers come from? What countries?
I haven't. I know Jason does that. I pretty much just like Jason does a lot of the background stuff where they're checking our demographics and also doing the marketing. I pretty much just like make a video and upload it and making sure that like all the tags and all the like the end card is all set to go and that. So he does. Yeah, our work is kind of split like that.
All right. Well, Jason, if you can reply to us in the comments, that would be great. I'd like to know because I checked mine for the first time last week, and US is number 1. What do you think number 2 is?
For yours?
Yeah, take a wild guess.
Not Australia?
Australia is not even in the top 10.
Oh. Philippines.
Yes. Philippines, then South Korea, and then India, and then the UK. That's the top 5.
Yeah.
Australia's like number 11 or something like that. It's crazy.
Because I know the Philippines, they're all about like their Korean pop culture. Like K-pop is like king there.
Yeah. So I was surprised. I didn't really know that. So I get more viewers from the Philippines than I do South Korea, which is strange. But what about you, Erik?
Yeah, it's been changing lately a little bit. United States is high. And I do remember seeing the Philippines on my top 5 as well. And sometimes when I criticize one of those shake, rattle, and roll horror films, I get some flack from the people over there. So, yeah. I don't remember the other ones that were on the list. I had Cyprus on my top 5 at one point when I was starting out, but that dropped off.
All right. Yeah. Jason said US, Canada, Singapore, Philippines, and the UK for you guys, apparently.
Oh, all right.
So Philippines is where we need to go. All right, let's get started. This is our top 20, the official top 20. I'm going to start with a movie we've already kind of touched on. 13 Assassins is number 20 for me. I liked this movie. I thought it was a return to form for Mike. I've said in pretty much every review I've done of his recently, well, ever since I started the channel, that I think he's lacking and he seems to have lost a lot of his passion for filmmaking. It's just manga adaptation after manga adaptation, and if you look at his filmography, it's just that's all it is. But 13 Assassins was a remake, right?
It's a remake of an old, like 1950s, 1960s samurai flick. Yeah.
Yeah. Your thoughts on that, Erik?
Absolutely.
We'll go with Erik. Sorry, man. You already talked about it.
Yeah.
13 Assassins, is it on your list?
Oh, me? Oh, yeah.
No,
it's
Erik.
on my list. It's further up. Oh.
All right.
That was in my honorable mentions.
Oh, that was you, honorable mention. Sorry, Ray.
That's fine.
I forgot which one of you said. So yeah, we'll get to you when we talk about it. So 13 Assassins I liked. If you haven't seen it, it's good. It's a great samurai film. It's got lots of gore and stuff. Some of the CG is a little dated. There's a certain sequence at the end of the film, and if you watch it now, you're like, okay, but that seems to be typical with Japanese films. So yeah, 13 Assassins is number 20 for me. Erik.
All right, I'm going off the grid here. This one's a weird one, and I have some weird ones in my top 20. This is a film called A Night in Nude, Salvation from 2010. It's directed by a man by the name of Takashi Ishii, who has done some exploitation films, and he directed some gangster flicks called the Gonin movies. It's about a man for hire who does like odd jobs, and he crosses paths with a trio of homicidal prostitutes after they recently murdered someone. So it's definitely it's a very artsy movie. and it's very atmospheric and
Okay.
glacially paced. But I thought it was really cool.
Awesome. I haven't seen it. Ray?
Haven't seen it either, but I am familiar with the director. You mentioned he did the Gonin series, right? I know that's been going on for a while. They just released a new entry like last year or 2 years ago or something like that. Although I don't know how much it continues from the original story because it's a series of films, yeah.
Yeah.
But
each film is kind of different too.
Okay. I haven't actually seen the one you just mentioned, The Night and Nude. At first, I thought it was something like more on the softcore side, but guess it's not.
It's got a little flesh in it, yeah.
All right.
All right. Ray, you're number 20.
My number 20 is a 2011 movie by the name of Smuggler, directed by another Ishii Katsuhito. And it's about, like visually, I thought the film was fantastic. Had a lot of really cool slow motion sequences that really felt like it would be enjoyed a lot more with 3D goggles on. But it stars Sumabuki Satoshi as this dude who's kind of like in debt. He's kind of out of his luck. And his debt leads him to join this group of smugglers, as the name of the movie has it. But then his crew one night end up having to smuggle an assassin to be killed by a rival Yakuza family. And the assassin gets loose and all sorts of chaos ensues from there. But really enjoyed that movie.
Yeah, that's on my list too, but it's higher up. So I'll talk about it when I get to it. Erik, is it on your list, Smuggler?
No, but I have seen it and I enjoyed it. I love Sumabuki, man. I'll watch that guy in anything nowadays. I really like him as an actor. And that movie has a few pretty dicey scenes in it too. I liked. So yeah.
Cool. All right. Number 19. I'm going with a recent film. A film that I saw on Netflix when I finally got around to getting Netflix. Netflix in Australia is terrible compared to everywhere else. Apparently the UK isn't that great either. But this is Gantz O. Really liked it. It was one of those movies I put on and I was just sitting on the couch and I thought, I'll just put this on and I'll do some work and I'll ignore it. It'll be a silly, film that's playing in the background. And compared to the live action films, which I did enjoy as well, I liked this more. I was really impressed with the CGI in the film. Yeah, the story's pretty basic and we've probably seen things like this before, but I liked it. I don't watch that many CG movies, but the ones that I watch from Japan that are done well, I really appreciate. So yeah, Gantz O is 19 for me. Ray, thoughts?
I love Gantz O. Like, I was a huge fan of the manga, but I never finished it. I forgot where exactly I dropped off, but I watched all the live action movies, and I do think Gantz O is the best adaptation they've released so far. It's not on my list at all, unfortunately, but I loved it, and I saw it in the theaters. It had a really small, like 1 month long theater run, and I made sure to catch it, and it was wonderful. It was glorious.
Yeah, I would have preferred to have watched that on the cinema, in the cinema on a big screen rather than watching it on my TV at home. But beggars can't be choosers. Erik, your thoughts?
I really enjoyed it as well. It was very entertaining. I agree that it is better than the live action versions. And that movie actually has some yokai monsters from like Japanese folklore in it too, which I found really interesting. So yeah, it mixes in a lot of good stuff. It's nicely violent, in terms of entertainment value, it's definitely very impressive.
Cool. All right, and you're number 19.
I'm going with one that, again, might be a little lesser known, and that is Beck from 2010. It's directed by Yukihiko Tsutsumi, who did 2LDK and the Trick TV series. And it actually co-stars Takeru Sato from the Rurouni Kenshin trilogy. And it's about an amateur, like 5-person rock band. And this is like Western style rock, like American style rock. So the music in this is really good. And it really shows like how you kind of develop a band from scratch. And I thought it stuck its ending too. So I enjoyed it.
Cool. I haven't seen that one. What about you, Ray?
I've seen that one just because I was absolutely in love with the manga and anime. I thought the live action did a very good job at adapting the stories, and I really enjoyed the cast. Like, I really like Sato Takeru. Like, he does really well in pretty much any movie that he's really been releasing, and also Mizushima Hiro, who was his co-star. And what I really like is they got like a legit like there are two characters in the movie that are required to speak English, and they got two like legitimately bilingual actors to pull off the job. Mizushima Hiro, I think he lived in the States for a while, and then also have, what's her name, Kutsuna Shiori. I don't know. She lived in Australia for a while, but she played the little sister of Hiro's character.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's really, really entertaining.
Cool. All right, your turn. Number 19.
My number 19 is a 2014 movie directed by Yaguchi Shinobu, and that is Wood Job.
Ah, nice.
I like Yaguchi's movies because they're usually lighthearted. It's always like all the movies I like from his are like about fish out of water, and this is about a city boy who really doesn't have like, I forgot if he graduated from high school or university. Oh, probably from high school. Then he had nothing going for him. He was either going to join the military or go to this internship which he found in a random pamphlet. So, and that is, it basically took him to the countryside where basically he learns how to be a woodworker. And I think the story itself is simple, but for me, the characters are the main strength of this movie. And for me, I felt like this is the story of any expat who decides to move from their home country to another country, because like by the end of the movie, he feels like the countryside, that's his real home. So when he comes back to the city, he feels like it's a whole new world. He doesn't feel like he's a part of there anymore. So I feel as an expat, it really hit home for me. So that's why it's in my top 20.
Cool. Eric, Wood Job?
It's higher on my list, baby.
Yeah, it's higher on mine too.
Is it?
Yeah. I really love Wood Job. I really like that movie. Yeah. It's an unfortunate name.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you Google Wood Job, guys, just be careful.
Oh no!
Seriously.
I think they were trying to play off of Good Job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
All right. My number 18 is going to be controversial, not because it's in the list, because where it sits on the list. This is a movie I still get messages about and comments about because I said it was a very good movie, but I didn't think it was a masterpiece. And God forbid you don't think an anime is a masterpiece. And so my number 18 is Your Name, a movie I really enjoyed. I thought it was beautiful to look at. Story was good. I did think it borrowed a bit from, the Freaky Friday elements that we have seen before, but I did like where it went, like at that halfway mark. But yeah, it definitely deserves a place in the top 20. But yeah, I'm maybe you guys have got it in your list. I'm not sure. Eric, Your Name?
It's not on my list. I thought it was pretty good. I had some problems with some of the plot developments, especially like I thought that some of the, well, I'm not going to spoil anything, but there's some things revolving memory I thought were a little contrived. It was a good movie, but I actually, after I watched it, I didn't even do a review of it, like a separate review, because I didn't feel like I had a whole lot to say about it for some reason. So yeah. It was pretty good.
Right?
I enjoyed it. It's a bit higher on my list, not too much higher, but what's the name? Shinkai Makoto. I always love his movies. I was trying really hard to choosing between Your Name and also Garden of Words, as they both were kind of fighting for the same spot on this list. But in the end, I went with Your Name. But I really enjoyed the visuals. I mean, all his visuals are really good. But I really enjoyed the soundtrack. Radwimps did a really good job with their soundtrack, and like the movie was so big here that I think it took almost it came out in August. I think it took like 6 to 8 months. Wait, we're in June right now. It took longer than a typical theater run for it to finally finish. I think like at the end of winter, it was still in the movie theater. That's how it proves that it still had a lasting fan base. Like I think right now it's the #1 animated movie by box office numbers in Japan. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
Yeah,
last time I checked, it was somewhere that ridiculous.
I wouldn't be surprised. It did really well in Australia as well. It had Australians love anime. We pay way too much for it, but people are prepared to pay a lot of money for it. And Your Name, they actually extended it. Usually they'll be in the cinema maybe for 1 week, 2 weeks, but Your Name was there for a long time. It could have been 6 weeks, 8 weeks, maybe. I could be wrong, but it really struck a chord with people. Okay, Erik, number 18 for you.
Going back to Shinya Tsukamoto again. I love this guy. I'm going with Kotoko from 2011. It's basically about a woman with some severe psychological problems. Right from the beginning of the film, she's engaging in like self-mutilation, and she hallucinates. And what makes this movie really interesting is that she has a toddler child, and she's attempting to retain custody of him. So this film really kind of creates a very compelling scenario where you have a lot of suspense. And I really liked it's a little bit, it's Tsukamoto, so it's got some of those weird oddities that he likes to put in. And I found it to be very compelling and well acted.
Cool. I haven't seen that one.
Right? Haven't seen it either.
Haven't seen it.
I don't think I've seen much of Tsukamoto's movies, to be honest. But yeah, I haven't seen this one in particular. Definitely.
Cool. All right. And your number 18.
My number 18 is a 2015 horror gangster comedy by the name of Deadman Inferno, directed by Shinagawa Hiroshi, which I think he's more known here as a comedian. And it's an ensemble cast, and the basic story is, well, there's a lot of stories going on in this one, but a Yakuza, not boss, a Yakuza member gets out of jail, and the first thing he wants to do is see his daughter, who happens to be skipping class with her friend on this island you have to take a ferry to, and then they're attacked by zombies, basically. So it's a zombie movie. It's a comedy. It's a Yakuza movie, and it's an ensemble cast too. So it's led by Aikawa Sho, and it also has Tsunumi Shingo and Kobuzuka Yosuke and a whole bunch of other folks. And what I really like about Shinagawa's movies is his comedy is centered around a lot of banter, a lot of roundabout dialogue. If you guys ever seen 1/3, like, I don't know, for me, like, that kind of comedy works. Like, for a lot of people, I know they don't like the roundabout dialogue, all the banter, but for me, I just think it's funny. They just ramble on, and especially when they're trying to figure out how to kill these zombies or what kind of zombies these are. And yeah, it was really entertaining for me.
How does it compare to Yakuza Apocalypse?
Yakuza Apocalypse was definitely a lot more ridiculous. I mean, they got a guy dressed in a frog costume, like doing karate kicks. Like, this one, it was more like you had gangsters fighting each other, but at the same time fighting off zombies. So I think it was much more, what's the word? Focused, if you will. Like, Yakuza Apocalypse was just Mika just going all over the place.
Cool. Erik, thoughts?
I actually watched it based on Ray's recommendation, and I enjoyed it. It was on YouTube, and it still might be for anybody who's interested. I liked it.
Cool. All right. My number 17 is a movie that's kind of a sequel, but not really. I really love the first two Crows films, and Crows Explode was a little bit of a rehash of the first two films, but I found myself enjoying it immensely. I love the whole high school gang thing, where, you've got these different gangs fighting each other, and it's just, violent and over the top, and maybe it brought out a little nostalgia in me, made me think about being in high school. Not that being in high school in Australia is anything like that, but more so putting myself back to when I was like 14, 15 and thinking, well, if these movies came out, that during that period of my life, I would have absolutely loved them. And that's why I really like Crows Explode. Erik?
I also enjoy the Crows series of films. I have not seen Crows Explode, though, but I did see the first two and I enjoyed them. So I look forward to watching the recent one.
Cool. Ray?
I like Crows Explode. Like I really like the main actor. He gushed it, but I don't know. For some reason, I still like the Crow Zero series a lot more, just because I really enjoy the cast of those first two movies. Like it was Oguri Shun and Yamada Takayuki, and
Yeah.
I felt like, I mean, the Crows Explode, it was good, but I felt like I don't know, I just enjoyed the story of Crow Zero a lot more.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right, Eric, your turn.
Number 17 we're on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of zombies, I got one here for you. I Am a Hero from 2015. So this is one, zombie outbreak breaks out. An underachieving manga assistant gets caught in the mix, and he seeks assistance from his trusty shotgun. So the plot and the setup, the premise is generic, but this film has a lot of, it has a lot of memorable moments to it. Some of the characters are fleshed out well, sets everything up nicely. The zombie attacks, I think, are shot well and pretty interesting, especially the finale. So, I Am a Hero is another Asian zombie film of recent memory that brings the goods.
I haven't seen that one yet. People have recommended it to me. I've also been recommended the manga as well, but I'll get around to it eventually when I can track down a copy. Ray?
I absolutely love that movie. I thought it did zombies really well. Although I've been hearing a lot of things that it really adapts the manga quite well, but I think in effect it kind of left it in this kind of weird cliffhanger where one of the characters, I guess later on in the manga they do a lot more stuff with them. But I thought overall the experience was enjoyable. The final scene, the final scene was absolutely fantastic. It involves the lead character in a shotgun with a lot of bullets, and it was really quite fun.
Cool. And your number 17?
My number 17 was A Silent Voice. And I know I saw your review, Corey, and you had a lot of good words to say about it. I thought it was great. Although when I was making my top 10 of 2016 video, I must have just forgotten about it. But, after seeing your review, I realized, that was such a good movie too. But it was really good. For those who haven't seen it, it's basically about, it's an anime movie, and it's focused on the effects of bullying. You have this boy who, basically when he was an elementary school kid, he bullies, him and his friends bully this deaf girl. Is it deaf? Yeah, deaf girl.
Yeah, she's deaf.
And in effect, it causes her to move schools, and then suddenly his friends backstab him. And so all throughout the remainder of his school life, all the way until high school, he's a target of bullying or just being ignored. And so he contemplates suicide until he runs across the girl he bullied all those years ago. And it kind of starts, his life kind of starts anew. He makes new friends that actually support him and accept him. And it's this kind of good story of this boy realizing what he did wrong and making amends for it.
It's on my list too, but much higher.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Eric, Silent Voice, have you seen it yet?
No, I have not.
Okay. Highly recommend it, dude.
Okay.
All right. So, number 16. Oh, I've got an anime film here as well. I've got Children Who Chase Lost Voices. This is a movie I think about regularly. I only watched it. Oh God, I only started doing the odd anime review a few months ago when people were like requesting it after I did Your Name. And I like this movie. I think about it a lot. I like the concepts of the different worlds. I like the main characters. I thought it was very unique and original. Again, a beautiful film to look at. That's the thing. We could probably do separate lists just with anime quite easily.
Oh yeah,
I think that's the problem when you do Japanese cinema, because you've got to include the anime. And I've got not a lot on this list, but that's one that for me stood out quite a bit. Children Who Chase Lost Voices. Let's go with you, Ray.
I like that movie a lot. It's also by Shinkai Makoto. And the reason why I didn't consider that movie for this list, because while I enjoyed it, it's Shinkai's movies, you enjoy the same way you do Shinkai's movies, but I thought it borrowed heavily from Ghibli a lot. Like if you ever seen Laputa Castle in the Sky or even Nazca, it reminded me a lot of those movies. And I thought, you know, Makoto Shinkai, he interpreted those kinds of stories in his own way. But for some reason, the older Ghibli movies kind of stuck more with me. So, but I mean, it's still a good experience nonetheless.
Yeah. Eric, have you seen it?
Yeah, I saw it a while back, so my memory's a little hazy on it, but I do remember enjoying it. I remember the animation was very good, and yeah, so I would agree with you. For some reason, the some of the specific details I'm blanking on, but I remember enjoying it.
Cool. And your number 16.
For me, it's another one. Again, maybe a little not very well known. It's called About the Pink Sky from 2011, and it's about a high school girl who, you know, she basically rates like newspaper articles, and she finds a missing wallet one day, and eventually, you know, she spends some of the money, and the owner eventually finds her, and he says, "Listen, you know, you're gonna pay me back by, you know what I want you to do, because you're kind of a skeptical girl. I want you to write newspaper articles focusing only on good news." So it's kind of it's a comedy drama hybrid. That's a little bit difficult to explain, as a few of these movies on my list are, because sometimes Japanese films focus more on just the character interaction instead of like the plot or the story. And this is one of those types of films where, you know, you're basically have this really interesting high school student interaction throughout, and it's quite funny, I thought. So I recommend it.
Cool. I haven't seen that one either, Ray.
Likewise.
Likewise. Eric, you've got some. No, it's good that Eric. Like, I would say my choices are pretty mainstream because that's the Japanese cinema.
I'd say mine's pretty mainstream too, and more on the light side as well. Like, I don't know, for me, like I have more entertainment. I get more entertainment out of the not so heavy stuff, like just to kind of just the light watches, if you will.
Yeah, it's great that you've got those ones, Eric, because I like the contrast of, you know, stuff that people have no idea exists.
Yeah, we learn a lot too.
Yeah. Ray, your turn. 16.
16 is Rurouni Kenshin, the first of the trilogy by Otomo Keishi. For me, it kind of came out of nowhere, like, you know, because, you know, anime adaptations, I think by the time that came out, they were just okay. Like, I think before that, Gantz came out the year before, the same year, I can't remember, and it was good. But I think all the anime adaptations of action shonen manga and anime have been just okay. But this one really had a lot of cool action sequences, a lot of cool wire work, and, you know, it stars Sato Takeru, who, you know, I'll watch in any movie. Who else did it have in it? I'm trying to remember the first story. Yu Aoi, like I will love her in everything that she's in. Yu Aoi is beautiful. She's fantastic. Takeemi was in there. I think at the time she was just kind of still making a name for herself, but I was really blown away by the action, and I thought it adapted the story relatively well, considering the kind of time, like 2 hour to adapt the whole entire number of comics in 2 hours. I thought it did an all right job. So yeah, Rurouni Kenshin.
That's higher on my list, but I cheated. I put all three. I
think it's good still, yeah.
Yeah. Eric?
It's higher on my list.
Cool. All right. So we might take a break quickly just to look at the chat. I'll go through it. Sorry, guys, on chat. I'll get back to you. Where did we go? Okay. Where was I? Okay, 13 Assassins classic, even with the doggy style samurai sex scene. I don't remember that. Smuggler, spot on manga adaptation. Yeah, we'll get to that when I talk about that movie. Filipinos love horror, suspense, thriller movies. That's why we get them from Korea and Japanese, because Philippines produce crappy garbage romance movies. Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Is that true?
That's very true.
Okay. I can't say I've ever seen a Filipino movie. A guy I went to school with lives in the Philippines. His wife's Filipino, and I think she's a producer or something, and he does like special effects makeup. Have you reviewed the Attack on Titan films? I did years ago. Overall opinion, they're shit.
I think you can enjoy those as a manga adaptation.
You probably, yeah.
enjoy them as the Godzilla movies or giant monsters.
Yeah, if you like a kaiju thing, maybe.
Yeah, enjoy them as kaiju movies.
Yeah.
Then they're all right.
Woodjob makes me look at snakes differently. Okay. Your Name liked it a lot, although the use of musical montages is very cloying. Yeah, I agree. They're just talking about which one's better. It's pretty damn obvious that the #1 film on all of the lists is Zombie Ass Toilet of the Dead. I didn't even know that was a thing. But I'm not surprised.
There are a lot of like low budget zombie movies over here. It's fantastic.
Have you ever been in one or made one?
No, I haven't been on one. I'd love to though. I mean, I love to put on makeup and just like walk around slowly and hum for a few hours. Or sounds like fun.
The sex scene of 13's Assassins is in the full cut, not the international cut. Well, that's the problem. I've probably got the international cut. All right, let's go with number 15. So I'm being a bit sneaky here again. I'm including 2 films. You kind of have to with this, and I've got like 3 or 4 sets of films because the Japanese like to do part 1 and part 2 of a lot of movies. But for this, I've got Takeshi Kitano film, or 2 of them. I think a return to form for him in Outrage and Outrage Beyond. I think they're excellent movies, and I think he is the Martin Scorsese of Japan. I don't think there's any argument there. What can I say? It's him doing what he does best. He does it well. Both films are fantastic. Highly enjoyed them. I think if you're in Australia, I watched them on, I think it was ABC or SBS, which is a free service here. So they might still be on there streaming. So check them out if you can. Let's go with Ray. Your thoughts?
Love the 2 movies. Like, I think Beat Takeshi. Like, I love his movies as a director. I think as an actor, he's pretty funny. But like, but no, from what I understand, like, I read a few articles talking about Outrage, and the depiction of the Yakuza in Outrage is pretty close, pretty spot on to how modern day Yakuza are. I don't know. I never met a Yakuza, so I can't really speak from experience. But
right.
A lot like from the way, like, just from the way some people talk about it, like, it's pretty spot on with his depiction of Yakuza.
Oh, does he have like ties with them, or he knows?
I'm pretty sure every guy who's been in the entertainment industry for a while probably has 1 or 2 ties, or a few more than one. Yeah.
Erik, thoughts on Outrage?
I thought they were pretty good. I think I like the second one maybe a little bit better than the first one for some reason. But yeah, I thought they were pretty good Yakuza flicks.
Yeah. All right. Your choice for 15.
Oh, I got a phone call here from a guy named Takashi Miike, and he tells me he's tired of you guys throwing his films under the bus, so he wants me to include one of his at number 15 here. And I'm going to put in Lesson of the Evil from 2012.
Yep.
Starring Hideaki Ito, who has grown on me a lot in recent years. This is the film about the high school teacher who kind of concocts an extreme plan to deal with the rise of bullying and bad behavior among the high school student body. I like the first... Actually, this movie has kind of a slow build-up. I like the first half of it because it actually uses kind of a lot of indirect communication for stuff that's occurring off-screen, and it's kind of fragmented a little bit, so you have to pay attention, which I liked. And then, obviously the finale in this film is so offensive that I can guarantee that it would never get a wide theatrical release in the United States. So that's another huge positive for me. And, of course, I recommend the prologue as well, which is very interesting, kind of a slow burn drama suspense prequel.
That's on my list as well, believe it or not. We haven't got too far to go, and I'll talk about it. But the reason it's on my list is because of the prologue. Ray, thoughts?
I absolutely love the movie. I haven't seen the prologue, but I watched the movie while I was still an English teacher. So So for me, it's like I think everyone like the job I worked, pretty much all the English teachers of foreign origin were pretty much networked together, and those of us who've seen it were kind of like, oh man, what if one of us ended up being like that? But for me, everything was enjoyable about it. It's not on my list. I was really deciding if I should put it on my list, but once again, I love the movie though, especially the finale. Like I agree, it's very offensive, and introduced me to some really like what's her name? I really the movie let me catch notice of Nikaido Ufumi, who I thought was absolutely like she was hot, and so ever since then I started noticing her in more movies, and yeah, everything that came out of the movie was cool. Yeah,
cool. And your number 15.
My number 15 is Shin Godzilla, and growing up, I think my first exposure to anything Japanese culture was Godzilla, and this came about over 10 years since the last Japanese produced Godzilla, and I think, from what I understand, this is not the first time they went on a decade-long hiatus. They do it to kind of like build up interest again in the character. And when they brought back Godzilla in Shin Godzilla, they brought him back with a bang. He's a lot different, new powers, and really, really good CGI, especially for Japanese cinema. But on the surface, it's just, if you watch it as a Godzilla movie, you get the same kind of story. But what I really liked about the storytelling, it uses a lot of commentary on the way the Japanese government handled the March 11 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami disasters, and use it as kind of a way to showcase the government and how they react to Godzilla. So for those who want a cool Godzilla movie, they got it. And this one's pretty straightforward. For those who want something a politically driven drama, they have that too. And for those of you who like Evangelion, it's made by the same director, so all the board meetings feel like they're straight out of Evangelion.
Cool. Your thoughts, Erik? Shin Godzilla?
Yeah, Ray did a great job summarizing everything that I would say about it. I like some of the commentary in it. I like the special effects. I like the abilities that they I guess upgraded the big guy with. And Shinya Tsukamoto actually has a cameo in that movie, by the way. So yeah, I enjoyed that one quite a bit.
I'm on the fence with Shin Godzilla. Like, I agree with everything you said, Ray, but the problem is when I watched it in the theater, because you have the English subtitles.
No.
There were too many characters in that movie. Mm-hmm. And my issue was every character got like a title card. So it's like, even some guy, it's like, this is Bill. He works at a desk. Bill has nothing to do with the story, but we're going to give him a title card. So you had the Japanese title card and then the English one underneath it. So half the screen was just text. And it was like that for most of the film. And, I just didn't see the point in giving almost, all these side characters that didn't really progress the story or have much to do with the story title cards. I don't know. That just annoyed me a little bit. But I agree that it's almost like a satire at some points as well. Yeah, it should be on a list. It didn't make mine. I almost thought of putting it in an honorable mention, but nah. All right. Sure. So number 14, a movie that some people like or dislike. I watched this film on a plane when I was heading to Taiwan last year, and it was almost a year and a half ago now. And I watched the film. I really enjoyed it. I did the review. Can't find it on DVD or Blu-ray anywhere with English subtitles. There's a Japanese Blu-ray release and DVD release, but as they do with all Japanese movies, they don't put subtitles. They only include Japanese subtitles, which is a shame because they're really losing a big audience from everywhere else in the world that would like to buy Japanese movies but can't because they don't include subtitles, and that is Prophecy. After I watched the film, I was like, that was good. I liked that. It was just it took me back again to being a teenager, and I understood where it was coming from. Like all these guys were being put out of work, they got laid off and they wanted to get back at the world, and I liked it. And then I read the manga after the fact, and I was surprised at how accurate it was. It was almost verbatim. It was a perfect adaptation. And some people might be like, well, the movie wasn't all that great, but it's like, well, if you read the manga, then the movie was spot on. I really liked Prophecy. I thought, the image of the guy with the newspaper head was quite striking, and it stayed with me. Ray, your thoughts on Prophecy?
I watched that, and I really liked the cast they had in it. It had Toda Erika, and even had Suzuki Ryohei from that that shoujo manga movie I mentioned earlier. He was like out of the crew of the, what do you call him? I forgot what the name of the group was, but he was the big dude. But anyway, I don't know. As a movie, like, I thought it was okay. I think I had problems with the payoff, with the ending. Maybe. Well, I was watching without subtitles, so maybe there were a few parts where they just went over my head and I just missed some details. I don't know, but as an experience, I thought it was okay. Like, I really just enjoyed the cast and the performances of the cast. So.
Yeah, well, it had Toda Erika in it, so
yeah, for sure.
Erik, have you seen Prophecy?
No, I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah, it's really hard to find. But we're getting a bit of echo. Are you guys getting that?
I don't hear any echo. You're fine to me.
I hear a little bit of an echo, yeah, on your end.
Oh, I think it's gone now. Oh no, there it is. I don't know. We'll keep going. All right, so we're up to 13.
I think so. Is it 13? It is
14.
14.
Oh, 14. Yeah, sorry. So Erik is next.
Okay. So I did, all right, here's one for you. It's one called Ocean. OSHIN from 2013. It's set in 1907, and it's about a 7-year-old girl whose impoverished parents send her off to work as a live-in servant, so they have one less mouth to feed. And she basically works throughout the winter. It's kind of a really hard situation, but she learns things from it. And this film, basically the big highlight of this one is this actress by the name of Kokone Hamada. We talked about some great child performances when we were going through the South Korean list a few weeks ago, and this girl gives one of the best child performances, I think, of the past handful of years. So it's a very good film, great drama to it, set in like the wintry forest environments, and I definitely recommend it.
Cool. There's still that echo there, people are saying. I don't know where it's coming from. It was fine before. Nothing's changed. All right. Your turn, right?
Oh, talking about Ocean. I haven't seen it, but I would like to see it.
Cool.
But my number was it 14? Also features some young actors, and it's called Solomon's Perjury. And I did a little bit of cheating here because it's also a set of 2 films. I think released one after the other, like maybe 1 month or 2 months apart. But it's about, it's been a while since I've seen it, so the details are kind of fuzzy. But a student is found dead in the snow, and the authorities chalk it up as suicide. But then the students think they think that there's something else at hand. So what they do, they organize their own extrajudicial court, where basically they take it upon themselves to have their own attorney, their own prosecutor, and they try to get to the bottom of the death of this student, even though the authorities have already marked the case solved. They had already marked the case as solved, so they're not going to do anything more about it. So I thought it was a really interesting crime, drama, thriller, mystery that had a lot of really good young actors who acted very well and very mature for their age.
I've also got that one on my list. But it's higher up. Oh. Is it me that's echoing?
I do hear a little echo from you.
I don't know. What is that? Hang on. I'm going to change my mic around. Let's see what happens. Let's go with...
Can you guys hear me at all?
No, it sounds like you're in a hallway now.
Yeah, that's just the laptop mic.
Oh, okay.
What about now?
Yeah,
Same
it sounds
thing?
fine.
Yeah.
Is that better or worse?
I'm not that much different, to be honest. Still like in the hallway.
Oh God. Let's go default there.
Hello. Is that better?
That's better.
Yes.
I don't know. This Google live stream, guys. Or the Google Hangouts. There's always some kind of technical thing. Okay, so I forgot where we're up to. Are we up to 13 now?
13.
Correct.
Okay. I know there's the echo again. Oh, that's all right. All right. At number 13, I've got The Boy and the Beast, another anime film. Ray talked about this one earlier. I really liked it. I liked the dynamic that the characters had. And I'm a sucker for the Alice in Wonderland style story or the Wizard of Oz style story where you've got somebody, usually a young girl or a boy that gets transported to another world, and then they experience that. And I like it. And I liked how it ended, and it did make me tear up in the cinema. But I think it had some good messages and some great characters. Again, beautiful animation. I was really impressed with the climax of the film. Yeah, just beauty to behold. Ray, do you want to add any more? Or have you said enough about that movie?
I think I said my part.
Eric, Boy and the Beast for you?
Yeah, I gave my thoughts on that one too. It's a good one. I definitely do not mind you including it on your list.
All right, and your number 13.
All right, I'm going to go with Bakuman for this one. 2015 film.
Nice.
Again, starring Takeru Sato and Ryunosuke Kamiki. And again, this is about the an amateur artist and an amateur scriptwriter team up to create manga and break into the business at Weekly Shonen Jump. I thought the story in this one really progressed very naturally. Very good acting. There were some good moments of humor in it. And I like how it portrayed this business, this industry, as something that takes a lot of hard work and long hours. After watching the film, I was like, man, going into the film, I was thinking, hey, it might be pretty cool to be in this industry. And after watching it, I'm like, nah, I think I'll pass.
That one's also on my list. We'll get to it very soon, I think. Ray, Bakuman?
Also my list, but higher, yeah.
Yeah, all right. So your number 13.
My number 13 is Cold Fish, 2010 movie by Sono Shion. It's been a while since I've seen it, so it's the details kind of fuzzy. But basically, it's about a family, this kind of disconnected family. They really all they do is fight, and one day the daughter of the family gets caught shoplifting and is being threatened to sent to jail, but is instead rescued by a friend of the shop owner who happens to be, first of all, the family, they run their own fish shop. What do you call it?
Aquarium.
Aquarium. Yeah. And so the guy who saves the daughter from being sent to the police is the friend of the shop owner, also runs his own aquarium. And he offers to take the daughter in under his employ to kind of work something out with the shop owner so that way she doesn't get sent to jail. And she ends up staying in a dorm where all his other work girls are, and absolutely loves it there. And then this rival shop owner kind of just hooks in members of the family to be like indebted to him, like But it turns out that this shop owner, this aquarium owner, is in fact a serial killer, and he's responsible for more than 20 or 30 disappearances regarding people around him. And so the story, the main character is the father, and what I really like about this movie, it shows his kind of like he's this nice guy, doesn't really try to tackle problems head on, but then as the movie goes along, he slowly succumbs to this darkness that's kind of egged on by this rival shopkeeper. And I thought the ending was, I didn't think it would turn out that way, and it really amazed me to this day.
Yeah, I almost put Cold Fish on my list as well. I really struggled, like where's it going to go? And it's a fantastic movie. It should be on my list. It's not, but I totally agree with everything you just said. It's great. Erik?
I enjoyed it. I think I don't know, when I was thinking about including it or not, I remembered maybe that I felt like maybe it was a little bit on the thin side. Maybe I felt like it maybe could have gone a little bit more into like developing stuff. But one reason to watch this, I think an actress by the name of Asuka Kurosawa is in this. And she previously starred, I think, in Tsukamoto's film A Snake of June back in 2002. And her performance is like I think she's like the crazy wife basically in this movie's awesome. Yeah. I really enjoyed her in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cold Fish, great film. You guys should check it out. All right, Ray?
Oh, that was mine, right?
Oh, that was yours. Sorry, I'm getting all over the shop here. All right. So we're up back to me, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, I need to take some more cold and flu medicine. All right. One we've already spoken about, Erik mentioned. Number 12 for me is Lesson of the Evil, the prologue, and the main film. When I watched this the first time, it was one of the first Japanese films I reviewed for my channel when I started. And it's a movie that I've watched several times since. And I love the ballsiness of it. This film will never see the light of day in Australia. I don't think it will ever get a DVD release. It will ever get a Blu-ray release. I don't think it's ever streamed. I think it's a film that if the classification board in Australia saw it, they're all mainly a bunch of middle-aged women. Not to say that there's anything wrong with that, but if you look at classification boards in any country, they tend to be highly conservative people, let's just say that, not very open-minded, middle-aged or older. And if you put a movie like this in front of them, they will be completely disgusted, and that kind of puts a smile on my face that this movie would disgust those people. And, as Ray said as well, as a teacher, sometimes you think, wow, students don't piss me off that much. I'll say that. But I liked where it went, and I think the prologue really helps the main film. I think if you watch the prologue, then you watch the movie, it answers a lot of questions, and it gives a lot more context to the entire scope of the story, much like with Solomon's Perjury and a lot of these Japanese films. You need to watch the entire thing. It's one contained story, and I think the prologue, I remember enjoying the prologue more than the main film, but I think they both help each other. So I think we've all said what we needed to say about Lesson of the Evil.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right, Erik, your turn.
All right. I'm going with a horror film here called Zero Fatal Frame from 2014. No relation to the video games. At least I don't think it does. This is basically it revolves around a Catholic girls' school in Japan where strange events occur after one of the girls becomes an antisocial shut-in in her room. And I can't really, I don't want to say any more than that because it would give too much away. This has like a really old school, classy, like European type aesthetic to it, which I really liked. very high quality, like direction and camera work. Performances are good. There's no cheap scares in it at all. A lot of things are like, it's just a very nice quality horror film, and I recommend it.
I totally agree. I almost put this one on my list as well. I liked it. Reminded me of something that would have been made in the 60s or 70s. It was just a very traditional horror film. It didn't rely on jump scares. It set the atmosphere of the film's. It's beautiful to look at. Yeah, I agree. Ray, have you seen this one?
Yeah, this is another movie that almost made my list, and actually, it is connected to the games. The Japanese title of the Fatal Frame series here is Zero. So I think the main reason I didn't include it in my list because I felt like it didn't really even connect to the game series. So maybe I'm being a stickler for it. Maybe because it had the name of a game series that I liked, and because I didn't feel like it had that connection. Like there's no camera obscura. Is that the? I forget if that's the name of the camera. But I mean, it was there, but it didn't have. It had a really small part in it. But everything else, what you guys said, yeah, I absolutely love the movie, the atmosphere, the performances, and a kind of like a story that didn't rely on jump scares. Yeah, those are all its strengths.
Why do you think they called this? Like they didn't need to call it Fatal Frame. They could have given it another title, or
yeah, I don't know. Well, I really don't know, to be honest. I just know that it was called Zero, and I was like, oh, it's just like the game series, but they didn't really explicitly say like why, or maybe at the time. I think when it first came out, I was still kind of fresh in Japan, like only a few years here, so I didn't really notice that it was the Japanese title until it was released on DVD. I was like, oh, this is Fatal Frame, you know?
Yeah, cool. All right, and your turn.
My number, what are we on? 12.
12, yes.
Right? Yeah, is Scoop, directed by One Hitoshi, who was the one who did the Rurouni Kenshin movies. And it basically stars, am I getting it right? I'm getting my information wrong. I'm sorry. It starred, not Rurouni Kenshin, Bakuman. What am I talking about? One Hitoshi did Bakuman, not Rurouni Kenshin. I'm thinking of the wrong Sato Takeda movie. But it's basically about a paparazzi reporter and a newbie journalist. They all work for the same publication, and they go on all these misadventures. And what I really liked about this movie, it kind of combines buddy comedy and also heists and a little bit of thriller here and there. And I really liked the performances by Fukuyama Masaharu and Nikaido Fumi. They had really great chemistry, and they really held the story along.
Cool. All right, so let's go to number 11. One we've already spoken about, Bakuman. Number 11 for me. Remember watching this in the cinema, loving it. Haven't read the manga. I know it's by the Death Note guys. It's one of those things I would like to read it eventually. I haven't seen the anime either. I think the anime was one of those things that got cancelled after 1 or 2 seasons and they never actually finished it. So that's a shame. But I liked it because I'm somebody that likes to read comic books, and I've been writing my own for many years, and I don't know if it'll ever get released because I'm a white Australian guy, and trying to release a story that's set in Japan with Japanese characters and stuff, I'm not sure that will work unless I write it under a Japanese pen name and get one of my friends to translate it for me into Japanese, which I've thought about, but because I really like dark stuff. I like Death Note and I like Monster, and I think there's not enough of kind of, I guess, adult stories. So I tried to write my own, and I'm still writing it, and I think it's actually quite good. But anyway, Bakuman is a really nice movie. Yeah, you know, it's just we talk about so many, like my last pick was Lesson of the Evil, about a crazy teacher that goes on a shooting spree in a high school, and this one's just about 2 friends that just want the same thing. They want to be successful. They go through their ups and downs. You know, there's the love story element as well, and also the group of different writers and artists that come together. I just thought it was a lovely little movie that I'm surprised didn't get a release here in Australia. I saw it at the Japanese Film Festival. It played for one day, and there was never a DVD or Blu-ray release, and that really surprises me, considering it's Bakuman, like a massive fan base for that. So they're really missing out on not releasing that one. Ray, anything you want to add?
No, it's a little bit higher in my list, so I can say it more when I get around to that.
And Erik, you've already said what you wanted to say about Bakuman.
Yeah.
It's good. Like, if it's on all of our lists, then it's definitely worth watching, I think. So, Erik, you're number 11.
Why Don't You Play in Hell?
Nice.
So this stars, of course, Fumi Nakaido and a bunch of dudes. It's about a renegade film crew becomes embroiled with the Yakuza. I really like the colorful characters in this, and I love how the whole aspect of the film just revolves around cinema. Like even the Yakuza are just as obsessed with movies as like the film crew is, and how all the shots are like set up and everything. A really fun movie. Obviously, the ending is quite crazy, and yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier. It was in my honorable mentions, and I think it's a movie for movie lovers. And if you love movies, then you should totally watch it. Ray, anything you want to add?
It's on my list higher
It's on your
up.
list higher up as well. Okay. All right. So you're number 11, Ray.
My number 11 is a movie we've spoken about already, Your Name. Cool. And it's higher up on my list. I genuinely enjoyed it. I'm still debating where it stands on my list of favorite Makoto Shinkai movies, but it's definitely one of the standouts. And one of the reasons alone is just the impact it had with just movie ticket sales and how much talk it had, how much discussion it started.
Why do you think that was?
I think it was just a story that connected with everybody, like at least on this side of the world. I know everybody from like students and adults, they all watched it because it had a lot of, people were feeling nostalgia because it's about student life, but also talked about like regret. What if you could go back and change something, and change any kind of decisions you had? I think, but that's a common thing with many of Shinkai's movies. But I thought for this one, because it incorporated that and all those fantastical elements, I thought it really and also just word of mouth. Everyone was just talking, hey, did you hear, or did you watch the movie? Did you hear that Radwimp song? Because the song was played everywhere too. So I think because the songs were playing everywhere, it really helped made this movie really popular.
Cool. Erik, you haven't seen that one, have you?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
you
did.
saw it, but you didn't. That's right. You had kind of the same opinion as me, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay, my number 10. Oh, another anime. More anime. Number 10 for me. Actually, let's go to the chat. I haven't checked the chat for a while before we get into the top 10. Seems like a good place to stop. All right, what have we got here? Sorry, guys, I'm just scrolling back up. Apparently, there's a third Outrage movie coming out.
Oh.
I'll be looking for, hopefully. Fingers crossed. I haven't seen anything for it. Hey, guys. Hi, Gustavo. What have we got here? Oh, we're talking about the Echo. It's gone now. Solomon's Perjury. The young talent are so striking here. It's a bit surreal to see how mature and poised they are. Yes, I agree. There was a Korean TV series of Solomon's Perjury.
Yeah, I think that was last year or something like that.
Right. There you go. Learn something new. Great Korean dramas. There are. Jason, you should review those because I don't have time to, and people keep asking me. Bakuman, I love the anime series. Cold Fish, watched it with my mother. We both laughed out loud at the dark comedic moments. Yes, we're both sick. Okay. I wouldn't watch that one with my mum, but...
I watched Tetsuo the Iron Man with my father one time.
And how did that go down?
He liked it.
He liked it? Okay.
Yeah, I watched Wolf of Wall Street with my parents both in the room watching with me.
Oh,
I was like, oh, well, I guess we can't stop it now, you know?
no. How did your mum feel about Margot Robbie's performance?
I don't know. I didn't really hear any comments. I mean, my dad was just like, I was like, well, that was fun.
She's very talented, actually.
I love her, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So my number 10 is Wolf Children. I reviewed this not long ago. I like it more than The Girl Who Leapt Through Time and Summer Wars. Apparently, Summer Wars, from what everybody's told me, is just a remake of a section of a Digimon movie. But Wolf Children I liked. Again, I liked the contrast between the brother and the sister. I liked seeing them struggle. And the mother, I thought she was a strong female character. And, you know, I liked it. It was good. Ray, Wolf Children?
It's my favorite Hosoda Mamoru movie, and it's higher up on my list.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We'll get to it then. Ray? Erik, sorry. Just said Ray.
Yeah, I thought that one was impressive. It really has a nice emotional core to it. It really kind of affects you emotionally. And so, yeah, good choice.
I remember when I did my review, somebody commented about the bestiality and said it might be a movie for furries. I was a bit put off by that scene. I thought, oh, they're going there. If you haven't seen the film, I'm going to spoil it for you. She fucks a wolf.
while he was in his wolf form, right?
While he's in wolf form. So you got this handsome man that, he's an Adonis, and then she decides, I'll get it on. Yeah. I wonder if they did. Do you think they did it doggy style? That's what I want to know.
Well, they at least did it twice, you know.
Yeah. Once in dog form or wolf form, and once in human form.
So they got two kids, yeah. It's like, hey, last time we did it as a wolf. Let's try it as a dude now.
Yeah. I don't know. Whatever floats your boat.
Yeah.
All right, Erik, number 10.
That's a great segue into my next movie, Wood Job.
Hey!
2014. So again, this is directed by Shinobu Yaguchi, who did some great films like Swing Girls and Robo G, and stars Shota Somatani, who was at Himizu and a bunch of other stuff, Hideaki Ito from Lesson to the Evil, and Masami Nagasawa. So this is a really good cast. Hilarious film, one of the most purely entertaining comedies I've seen in recent years. And I love how each of these directors' films focuses on something different. It's like he picks a certain industry or a certain topic, and then he really kind of explores it. In this one, it's forestry. And I thought that topic was explored in a very interesting manner. So Wood Job makes my top 10.
Great. Well, I've got Wood Job in my top 10, but it's on the list somewhere. I won't mention.
Ooh.
Ray, you don't need to say anymore.
Yeah, I think I said it all, but I absolutely love that movie.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Absolutely great film. I remember watching it in the cinema, and I fell in love with it. Fell in love with the cast. Okay, so Ray, number 10 for you.
My number 10 was Museum, released last year.
Can I stop you?
Yeah.
Please not spoil the movie.
I won't spoil the movie. I did a review on it, and I hope I didn't spoil any information there.
I didn't watch your review because I really, 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 really want to see this film. I've been reading illegally online an English translation. Somebody's doing it. There's a website, I won't say which one, where they'll put out somebody's translating it, the Japanese to English, because there's no English translation. Apparently there's a German and Spanish one. I've looked for it everywhere. I can't find it. I can't even find any company like Viz Media or Dark Horse or any of these companies that release manga. I don't know if it will ever get an English version, but it's right up my alley. And hopefully, fingers crossed, they will do an English subtitle version somewhere. But yes, please.
Oh yeah, I won't spoil it, but basically, it was my favorite film of last year. more than Your Name, more than Shin Godzilla. And I think I don't know many cool, how do you say, kind of horror, thriller, suspense hybrids that from Japan, like with a police officer behind the point of view. Like I think this one did really well. It was bloody and violent, but not to the point where it's like 13 Assassins or any kind of Miike Takahashi movie. I thought it was very well contained, and the performances by the two leads were fantastic. They were really fun to watch. That's all I'll say about it.
Yeah. Eric, I'm assuming you haven't seen this?
Nope. This one and Scoop are two of my more highly anticipated films that I have not yet seen.
I know. Hopefully we get them at some stage. I from what I've read of the museum manga, I think it's fantastic. It's so dark, and I was talking earlier about, I love Death Note, I love Monster, I love these dark adult stories, and it's one of them. And if you guys like those, then you should, unfortunately you can't buy an English book, so we're left with translations.
Yeah, it sucks that some of those have to be acquired that way, but
I know. Well, it's the same with, like I was saying earlier, with the films. It's like, I know Museum exists on DVD in Japan.
Yeah, it just came out last month, yeah.
I know, I can't buy it because there's only Japanese subtitles.
Yeah.
There
are only a few movies when they come out on DVD here that actually have English subtitles. Those are usually like anime movies. A lot of anime movies have have English subtitles, and also I think it depends on the director. I think like many of Beat Takeshi's movies get released with English subtitles here.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's not so many. It's a very, very small percentage.
I know, they're really missing out on a market. A market of people around the world that want to watch these movies and pay for them. Yeah, I don't think it would be too hard just to include that subtitle file on a DVD. It would really cost them nothing. All right, so we're number 9. We're up to. Okay, so one we've spoken about already, but I'm going to add it to my list. Number 9 for me is Smuggler. Smuggler, this was one that I actually read the manga before I saw the film, and again, it's perfect. It captures the book perfectly. All the performances are great. It's like the characters came out of the page and onto the TV screen, and it was just perfect. It's a standalone story, and it's not a very long story, so it's perfect for an adaptation. I think the problem is when you've got something that's just ongoing, it would be very difficult to make that into a standalone film. But with Smuggler, because it was a standalone novel, graphic novel, it worked perfectly. So yeah, love Smuggler. I think it's great. Any more thoughts on Smuggler, guys, or you've said what you needed to say?
I think I said what I needed to say.
Yeah.
I'm good.
You're good? All right, Eric. Number 9 for you.
All right. We're going to do The Kirishima Thing from 2012. This stars Ryunosuke Kamiki from Bakuman and Ai Hashimoto. And again, it's a high school film, mostly a drama with a little bit of comedy in it. And again, it focuses so much on the character interaction that the plot just sounds kind of bland. You basically have a student who doesn't show up, like the most popular student in the school doesn't show up for the day. And it shows how all the different students kind of interact and how they deal with this. This like uncertainty that crops up. And there's, I think, Ryunosuke's character is like a student filmmaker who's trying to shoot a zombie film at the school, like in between classes. I found that to be a really interesting element to it. Performances are great, very nice dialogue, and a lot of subtle details here. So anybody who's interested in like just a really well-made high school student film that's a little bit different, check this one out.
Cool. I haven't seen it, but I just wrote it down so I could remember it.
Right? I haven't seen it either. Yeah. I haven't seen it either, but I've seen it like being talked about, and it seems to have a pretty decent following too.
Cool. All right. Your number 9.
My number 9 is 13 Assassins by our man Mike Takashi. Like, I really like 13 Assassins. I feel like when it comes to violence, this movie does it well. It's nice and bloody. And when Blade of the Immortal came out earlier this year, I felt upon watching it, while it was cool, I felt it was it felt like a rehash of 13 Assassins as far as the level of violence and the fighting, the battle scene. So for me, because I felt that 13 Assassins was a really good standard when it came to that kind of bloody samurai sword slashing violence. So yeah, 13 Assassins.
Yeah, I had that at number 20. Erik, is it on your list anywhere?
I had it as my first honorable mention.
Oh, that's right. So we've both spoken about it. We'll just quickly talk about Blade of the Immortal. You guys have both seen it.
Mm-hmm.
I watched both of your reviews, and I think you guys were pretty spot on with what you said. Erik, you watched it obviously without English subtitles. How was that?
Well, that was fine. I checked. I knew I was going to see it beforehand. I just checked like the basic plot line online, and then after the movie, I checked a little bit more thoroughly to kind of fill in the gaps.
Right. Had you read the manga or seen the anime series or anything like that beforehand?
Nope.
No. And just what were your overall feelings about the film?
I thought it was a good action flick. I actually really liked the opening 10 minutes and how it set everything up. It felt, obviously I can't tell without subtitles, but it felt like the characters were a little bit on the thin side in the storyline. But I really enjoyed, the action scenes and the way it actually held my attention at a pretty decent, decently long runtime. So as a pure samurai action flick, I actually quite enjoyed it.
Oh, fair enough. And Ray?
I liked it. Like, it wasn't a bad movie. Like, I was expecting something of Terraformers level disaster, but no, it wasn't. It wasn't bad, but at the same time, I just held 13 Assassins to a higher standard. But on its own, like, the Blade of the Immortal, like, I really like the performances of the two leads, Kimura Takeya, and I can't remember the girl's name, but I've seen her in a few movies, and she has this really cute, like, pouty face that kept popping up here and there in the movie. But yeah, I agree with Erik. Some of the characters were on the thin side. I think it's because they dropped them in just so the main character can fight these guys as the manga had portrayed them. But a lot of these things you can kind of sense. Okay, obviously in the manga they had a lot more build up, but then in the movie their scene together was only for like 10 minutes at the most. Yeah. Like they even had like this really well-known kabuki actor Ichikawa Ebizo play one of these characters. I can't remember exactly the name of the character he portrayed, but there was a lot of the promotion over here for Blade of the Immortal centered around Ichikawa Ebizo is in this movie. You got to check it out now. So I mean as with any Miike movie, he usually hires the best cast, but whether the movie is good or not, that's another thing. But this one was okay.
Yeah, something that I think would be really funny if we did a worst films list. I think we would have just as many Miike Takashi films on each list.
Oh yeah.
I know, Erik. Do you agree with that or not really?
I'm a little bit more of a defender of his recent films. I really enjoyed, Lesson to the Evil. I thought Over Your Dead Body was really interesting. I actually really liked As the Gods Will as well. It's just a really wacky, crazy horror film that you really wouldn't see anywhere else. But Terraformers would make my list of worst of the past 20 years.
Oh man, that was a massive pile of shit. It was so
you can tell it had a big budget too. Like you had so many phases, so many big stars, a lot of CG. But yeah, we all know.
Yeah, absolutely terrible. And the problem with As the Gods Will, it ends on it doesn't end. Like it ends on a cliffhanger, and you're like, well,
he does that all the time.
Where's the second film?
Yeah, I assume Apocalypse. Yeah. He did it with Lesson to the Evil. He likes to troll you a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like there was probably a few more chapters after where it ended in As the Gods Will. I don't know. I never read the manga, but it just comes like it had this character. It's like you feel like he's going to be a big player, but then all he does is just walk up the stairs, and that's it. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's intentional or he makes the
Gotta
movie
be.
planning. You think it is?
Yeah.
You don't
I wouldn't be
think-
surprised.
Really? I don't know. Do you think he does that as a fuck you to the audience and also the people that pay him to make these movies?
I don't know. I think it's more like just a I don't know the right word to describe it. Just kind of like a pithy way to end his film. You know, he did the same thing with Zebra Man too. I think one of those. So he's had a history of doing this.
Yeah. All right. So we're up to number 8, right?
Number 8, yeah.
Yep.
Number 8. Okay. I have wood job. Well, I don't have a wood job. I have wood job at number 8. I agree with exactly what you guys said. It's a great film. It's hilarious. It's got a lot of heart. Fantastic cast. I can't say anymore. It's about this guy that is down on his luck. He reminded me of myself when I was that age because, you know, when you graduate high school, there's so much pressure put on you. You've got to make these big life decisions and you're like, I don't know. I haven't even lived my life. I've spent my entire life in a high school or a primary school, and now I've got to go out in the big world. And it's a coming of age story, and it's done really well. And I think we've all said what we needed to say until Ray, you know, talks about.
Well, I would like to say that if I ever had a chance to date like Masami Nagasawa, I would probably go into forestry as well because that was his whole motivation.
Yeah,
right?
no, agreed on that.
Fair enough.
She's just one of the sweethearts right now of Japanese cinema. I don't know. I don't think you
really?
can go wrong with her. I think so. I think right now, I think her image is like this kind of sweet girl next door. Although, from what I understand, she's been trying to break out of that image.
Right.
But it's I don't know. For me, it's still like the cute girl next door. I have,
Yeah.
you know, that's
How
the
old
image
is she?
She's not 30 yet. I think. I think
Alright.
she's still pretty young.
She's kind of like Aoi Miyazaki. She's been around forever, but she's still not old.
Mhm.
Yeah, but that's the Asian thing, right?
Huh.
One day you just wake up and you're an old lady.
Yeah, Asian genes.
Yeah.
That's it, man.
I know. Assholes. All right. So, yeah, let's go with you, Eric.
All right, I got a big one here. It's a juggernaut.
Ooh.
Hirokazu Koreeda's Like Father, Like Son from
Nice.
2013. So this actually stars Masaharu Fukuyama, who's fantastic. I love seeing him in everything. And this is one where a father learns that his 5-year-old biological son was switched with another child after birth. And, you know, this film really just does an excellent job of really developing all the different angles of this particular scenario. Like it's really interesting to see just exactly how many angles are covered in this film, from the father and the mother, and then the other father and the mother of the biological son also are affected by this.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of nuance to it. Fantastic film.
Yeah, it's on my list as well, and I'll hold off talking about it. Ray?
It's on my list as well, but it's much higher up.
Okay, so
Great.
your turn.
My number, what are we on right now?
8.
Number 8 is The World of Kanako
Nice.
by Nakashima Tetsuya. And it's about a father who thinks he has this, well, it stars Yakusho Koji and Komatsu Nana. And Komatsu Nana, as far as what her father thinks, is the ideal daughter. Always has good friends, always gets good grades. But then she goes missing. And Yakusho Koji is on this mission trying to find her. But as he's talking to more people about her and finding more information about her, he starts to realize that his daughter might not be as who he thinks he is. And what I like about this movie, it's it's a really good thriller, and it pulls you into so many different directions. You really don't know what's the truth until the very end. I really like the way it told the story, and it had a few moments that went really dark and really bloody, and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I did too, and it's much higher on my list. Eric?
It's higher on my list, baby.
Wow, this is different. When we did the South Korean list, it was like completely different almost. I think there was only 1 or 2 films we both had, but this one we all seem to have very similar movies.
Mm.
Okay, so number 7 is a movie that I don't know how people will feel about this, but it's actually a remake. And it's not a remake of a Japanese film. It's a remake of an American film. And I really enjoyed it. I thought that it was as good as the original, which is considered a classic. But what I like the most is the fact that it came full circle. So we had Japanese cinema influencing Westerns. You know, back in the day, they used to remake Seven Samurai and all those movies. And then, you know, it's finally happened. It's gone the other way. So the movie is Unforgiven.
Forgiven, yeah.
Ken Watanabe film, which is pretty much exactly the same as the Clint Eastwood film, but it was a refreshing take on the story. I thought Ken Watanabe was fantastic in it. A beautiful movie. Loved the way it was shot. I recommend this film to people that haven't watched Unforgiven in some time, because they're movies that, even though they're almost the same film, you do get something different from this movie. And yeah, I liked the full, you know, just filmmaking coming full circle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I really enjoyed that. So Unforgiven for me. Ray?
It didn't make my list, but I agree with you. Absolutely fantastic movie, fantastic experience. And the main actors, Ken Watanabe and even Sato Koichi, were fantastic. Like Sato Koichi, usually I'm used to seeing him as a good guy, but seeing him play a villain and seeing his chops acting as a villain, it was really good. And I like the way they adapted what originally was, you know, an American Western into the time setting that they did for the Japanese version, which was the Meiji period. And I thought they adapted it quite well.
Erik, your thoughts on Unforgiven?
I've always avoided this one. I never. I like the lead actor a lot, but I don't know. But now hearing what you guys say, I might actually. I'll watch it now. I don't know. I've seen the original film, and this premise really didn't interest me all that much. But I'll check it out now that you guys say, you know, it's high on this list here. So
yeah, you should totally. Do you like the original?
I thought it was good, but I'm not like in love with it.
Yeah, I think. I don't know, maybe you just need to be in the right mood for it. So yeah, that's my number 7. Erik.
I got another juggernaut here.
Hey.
Rage from 2016.
Talking of Ken Watanabe.
And directed by Sang-il Lee, who directed Villain before, which is also a good movie. The cast in this, absolutely loaded. Satoshi Sumabuki, Aoi Miyazaki, Suzu Hirose, Ken Watanabe, and Kenichi Matsuyama. So the premise in this one, this is different a little bit from some of the other films I covered, because the premise is just awesome, right? You have this guy, he kills a married couple, and then he gets reconstructive surgery on his face. And then you cut to 3 different storylines at 3 different parts in Japan, I believe, involving a new guy in town. And one of these new guys is allegedly the murderer. So you go through the whole film with these 3 different storylines, and you don't know who's in danger, who's not. But the film really doesn't operate solely as like a murder mystery, because it's doing so much other stuff. It's developing all these multidimensional characters. It's it has some really hard-hitting social commentary to it. So yeah, definitely a must-see.
Awesome. I haven't seen Rage. I really want to see it. Hasn't been released in Australia as far as I'm aware. I think there might be a Blu-ray available or a DVD from Hong Kong, maybe.
DDD House has it. That's where I got it from.
Yeah. I'll have to put it in my next order, but you know, these things cost a lot of money. It all adds up. Ray, your thoughts on Rage?
Absolutely fantastic movie. I must have missed. I think like when deciding which movie to put on the list, there's just a lot of things, and Rage didn't make it on my list, unfortunately. But I agree with Erik. It is a really good movie. When I watched it in the theaters, I think after like the ending credits had finished playing, you could hear a lot of sniffles in the audience from people who were just crying because just the way the story played out. It was a really touching story, and it really did a good job of pulling you into different directions. One particular scene I really liked is they showed kind of a mock-up sketch of who the killer could be, and in the story there are 3 suspects, right? And you don't know who is the killer. And what they kind of did, they kind of photoshopped everyone's faces together, so it looked like a hybrid of all 3 actors' faces. I thought, okay, that's pretty clever. And this movie, like, yeah, it was really good at pulling you into different directions.
Nice. So your pick for number 7.
Bakuman, which I think we all spoke about. But yeah, fantastic visuals. One thing I'll add is that the way it's portrayed, like both the 2 main guys and also like the rivals kind of competing against each other in the manga rankings, it showed them kind of fighting with brushes in the back, with the manga pages in the background and ink splatters everywhere. I thought that was really cool. Visuals were cool. Performances were great. And yeah, Sato Takeru, Kamiki Ryunosuke, you can't go wrong with those guys. They're really good nowadays.
Yeah, and they're great in the Rurouni Kenshin movies.
Oh, yeah. Well. Yeah, to see them team up instead of fight each other with swords was pretty cool.
Cool. All right, so number 6. A movie 2 movies that we've already spoken about. I've combined them as well because you can't talk about them separately because they're really just one big film. And that's Solomon's Perjury. I really like this. It's a long sit. You're looking at like almost 4 hours if you're going to watch this in one sitting, which I did, and I wasn't bored for a second, and if I liked it. I liked the story. I liked the concept of these kids coming together and forming their own trial and doing it themselves. That was cool. And also, I think you already said, Ray, that the performances were great for the age range. I don't know how old they were, the actors. But yeah, it was a very convincing film. Very well done. Erik, Solomon's Perjury. Anything you want to say or add?
Yeah, it was a solid film. I liked, again, it's a premise that's quite interesting and a little bit different. The acting by all the leads were good, and yeah, I didn't really feel like the runtime was a detriment either, because it did a good job at developing everything. So yeah, it's a good choice.
Ray, did you want to add any more to that, or you said what you?
I'm good.
Yeah, you're good. All right, Erik, number 6.
Rurouni Kenshin. Now, I could put the whole trilogy here. If I had to pick a favorite, I think the first one still is my favorite, but they're all 3 of them are excellent. Again, former legendary assassin, now wanders around and offers aid as atonement for his past deeds. Just a really great overall film. I got to hand it to them on the action scenes in this. I mean, the action in these movies is just phenomenal. It's almost like something you would see in like the Raid films in terms of choreography, the speed at which it's executed. So that it really needs to be highlighted. If anybody out there's a fan of swordplay action, these are some of the best action sword fights you're going to see. And if I were to rank like my favorite trilogies of all time, this one is pretty high on my list.
I totally agree. It's we'll talk about it very soon. Give my opinion very soon, but yeah, totally agree with you. Ray?
Nothing much more to add, except that I will agree that the first one was my favorite of the trilogies as well.
Cool. All right. And for you?
My number 6 is Confessions, also by director Nakashima Tetsuya, who did The World of Kanako. And what I liked about it is the lead actress, what's her name? Matsu Takako. For a little trivia, she's the one who sang the Japanese version of Let It Go, which is quite a different image, considering what the character she plays in this movie. She plays a school teacher whose daughter is murdered by one of the students, and she claims to know who, but as an audience member, you don't know who. But so it goes into like this mystery, thriller, and revenge flick, and she puts all these pieces in motion so that way she can enact revenge on the killer of her child, who is one of her students. And I thought the payoff was satisfying. The finale was great, and the performances. If you think of that, Matsu Takako was the one who sang "Let It Go," and you watch this movie, it's like that can't possibly be her, because she's like cold as ice in this movie, but she's singing. She's singing as Elsa. No, she's also, I think, was she the voice of Elsa? I think she probably was the voice of Elsa too. But so yeah, Confessions.
Nice. I don't want to talk about that movie quite yet. It's on my list. Erik?
I cannot talk about that movie yet either.
All right.
It's on my list higher as well.
This we're getting into top 5 territory here. I think we're going to have a lot of overlaps, to be honest. Just give me 1 second. I need to get some water. If you guys
Yeah,
want to
I'm
take
gonna.
a drink
I'll be
break,
back in a minute as well.
yeah, just give me 2 seconds. Guys on chat, just wait. We'll be back with the top 5. I really need a drink.
I'm gonna maybe I should get some too, just so I don't want to be the awkward one in the camera.
I'm back.
Me too.
Oh man. Sorry, Mike. Mike's just commented, it's 7 a.m. here in the UK and I join as everyone disappears. It's all right, mate. You're in time for the top 5. Ray's recovering from a cold. I have a cold. And
Eric seems fine.
Eric seems fine.
Yeah.
I'm just having more cold and flu medication now. Can I just say, guys, that this is a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I'm always fascinated by, technology, and we all do our own thing with our channels, but it's cool that we can come together and chat like this. I don't think many other channels, if we were talking about mainstream movies, I don't think many channels would do that. So it's cool that we're all connected and we all watch each other's reviews and things. I like it. I like that we've got our own little community, and it is a niche market. And yeah, we all have to have real jobs, and we're not YouTube stars. But you know what? We do it because we love it.
Yeah.
I only have like one other person I talk to movies about in my non-YouTube life, because we just watch them together a lot, my cousin and me. But other than that, it's all YouTube now.
Yeah, if I didn't have you guys, I wouldn't have anyone to talk to, really. People ask me, like, even in my job and even my family, like my sister was here a few weeks ago and, I made her watch The Chaser. And, she's seen a few South Korean films, but, getting people to, especially English speakers, a lot of people just, I don't want to read subtitles.
Exactly.
There's that attitude, and it's like you're missing out on so many great movies, and you've got these people that complain about Hollywood and Hollywood shit. It's just, don't watch Hollywood films then. Watch something else. But I don't,
Yeah, watch the movies they often rip off from,
Yeah, exactly. But so I like Tarantino, but when people tell me he's the most original filmmaker, it really pisses me off.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, you should probably watch some Japanese movies or, watch some Asian cinema and then tell me he's so original. All right. So we're into our top 5 now. All right. All right. Number 5 for me is something we've spoken about. It's Rurouni Kenshin. The entire trilogy. Erik was saying earlier when that he would put this somewhere in his favorite trilogies. It's definitely in my top 5. I love these movies. I love how well made they are for Japanese big budget films. If you compare these to the Attack on Titan movies, movies that should have had a bigger budget and should have been better, let's be honest. I think out of all the kind of Japanese manga anime adaptations, the Rurouni Kenshin films are the best. Filmmaking wise, acting wise, you get your money's worth. the problem is with a lot of Japanese movies, I think they rush them because they're trying to stay on top and, oh my God, this thing's popular now. We need to get this out before it's not popular anymore. And I think that's a detriment. But with the Rurouni Kenshin films, they really took their time. I know the first film came out and then it was maybe 2 or 3 years, and the sequels came out. They were like back to back within a few months. And I remember sitting in the theater watching the second and third film. I went on a Saturday to see the second film at the Japanese Film Festival in Brisbane, and then I went back the next day to watch the third film, and I just fell in love with the trilogy. I love it. It's fantastic. I rewatch it more than any other Japanese film series, I think. I watch it at least twice a year, I think. I just love the movies. And I agree, I think the first one's the best. I think 2 and 3 are kind of equal in quality. But yeah, I think we've all pretty much said what we needed to say about Rurouni Kenshin.
Just would like to say that the final fight in the third movie is pretty solid.
It is. When they all go, it's like this one big battle. It's fantastic. And yeah. Cool. So Erik, sorry, Ray.
Sorry, I'd love to add in that I really enjoyed the theme songs sung by one of my favorite Japanese rock bands, One Ok Rock. They also did an ending theme song to Museum. Whenever you get to watch that. So yeah, really good band.
Agreed.
Anyway,
Nice. All right, Erik, number 5 for you.
All right, I got 2 oddball films in my top 5. This is one of them. I'm gonna have to defend it, maybe. I'm going with Tag from 2015 from Sion Sono. Yes, starring Raina Trendle. This is a completely crazy horror thriller film about a schoolgirl who witnesses like the death of a bunch of her classmates, and then weird things happen after that. And she's trying to figure out what's going on. That's all I'll tell you. So what I would say, I see this film gets kind of mixed reviews online, but what I will say is not a question, is that the visuals in this film, like the direction, the tracking shots are insane. They're fantastic. The score, I think a lot of it was from a band called Mono, or at least some of it was. And they do an excellent job. All the aesthetics in this movie are phenomenal. And I also thought the pacing was just top notch. From start to finish, it just keeps moving. And there's a lot of creativity here. Some people think the ending is a little dodgy, but I thought it was pretty interesting stuff. So yes, Tag, possibly an unpopular choice, but it's in my top 5. I love this movie.
I like that you do that, Erik. I haven't seen Tag, mainly because of all the bad reviews it received. But I like how you stick to your guns, man. You like a movie, then you defend it. Ray, Tag.
I watched Tag. I loved it in the sense that it made me question what the hell is happening. But no, I agree with Erik that like visually, and from a director standpoint, it is great. I really like the 3 main actresses who the story is a little bit. I think you have to watch it twice to really kind of understand some of what's happening, but I really like the 3 actors they used to portray. Wait, weren't the 3 actors playing the same one character? Was that how
Correct.
it was? Yeah. And the 3 actors I really like. And what is it? One thing I thought that was interesting, the Japanese name of Tag is called Real Onigoko, and there's actually a B budget like horror film series called by the same name. I'm not sure if this one is connected to those earlier movies, but I think every time I stop by the DVD rental shop, it's always like Real Onigoko, and then there's the Sonoshion masterpiece, but with a bigger budget. But it's a really, really different story. But I think it takes the same kind of premise of that original series. But yeah, it's just totally just filled with mindfuckery. It's like, what's going on? I think me and Jason both watched it at the same time. And we're just like, what's going on? I don't know, but it's great.
It's one of those.
Yeah.
All right. So Ray, your choice for number 5.
My number 5 is Wolf Children, which you spoke about earlier, Corey.
Yep.
And it's my favorite Hosoda movie because I really like the dynamic between mother and the 2 children. And what I thought was cool is what about the narrative was that you had two kids, both with the same heritage, and they both have to decide if they want to live on their lives as humans or as a wolf. And it was a really interesting coming of age story. Furry stuff aside, but yeah. But I thought the coming of age narrative was fantastic, and it was one of the few movies to make me tear up in the theater, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful film.
Yeah.
Erik, anything you want to add? You said
Nope.
all you wanted to say about
Beautiful
Wolf Children?
film.
Yeah. All right. So number 4, a movie we've spoken about, Like Father, Like Son. I reviewed this last year, I think. A great drama, a tragic story. It's a movie that stays with you after you watch it. It's very deep. The performances are fantastic. Erik mentioned before the plot, so I won't rehash it. But yeah, number 4 for me, Like Father, Like Son. It's one of those movies it's a tough watch, but it's definitely worth watching. Not tough in a way that it's a bad film. It's an emotional film. So, you guys have anything you want to add about Like Father, Like Son?
Nope.
Erik, you said what you need to say, Ray?
I'll add more in a bit because it's
Okay.
a little higher on my list.
All right. Fair enough. All right. Erik, number 4?
Going with The World of Kanako, 2014.
Nice.
Again, Tetsuya Nakashima. Now, this one, I would say, I've seen a lot of movies with Koji Yakusho, and actually my favorite Japanese movie of all time was Cure, which he starred in, right?
Of course.
But this could be the best performance I've seen from this guy. I mean, he just throws everything into this movie. I loved his performance in this. And I think Satoshi Sumabuki plays like this wisecracking like cop or something in this too. He was good in it, like a small role. But yeah, this movie's great. I really liked Nakashima's the way he presents the film is very like visceral and I don't know, how would you call fragmented. So you got to like pay attention to what's going on, and it creates a very absorbing and like interesting storytelling structure. So World of Kanako, love it.
Cool. It's on my list. We'll talk about it in a sec. Right?
I'm good with adding to it. I think I said my part.
Yeah. All right. Your turn?
So my number 4 is Ryuzo and the Seven Henchmen, directed by Beat Takeshi. And what I like about it, it's kind of it's a gangster movie, but it's also a dark comedy. And it's about these old gangsters, Ryuzo, the lead guy, and he's a grandfather. Like basically, this movie is saying that all of those old style yakuzas, yeah, they're literally old. Like they're all just geezers, just like kind of meeting up at the park, and they're in their free time, or and just reminiscing about their old days at the local pub. But then they get into this run-in with kind of like the new age gangsters, if you will, and these are scammers. Like you guys know what the ore scammers are?
I have no idea.
Is it a telephone scam?
Yeah, it's a telephone scammers. They basically call you up and say, "Hey, mom or grandma." They usually target the older folks. Like, "Hey, grandma, it's me." What? Me? Oh, Ray? Is that you? Yeah, it's me, Ray. And so it goes on to, they pretend to be like the grandchild and say, "Yeah, I'm in trouble. I need some money. Can you deliver the money to the guy I owe it to?" And so basically Ryuzo, the old gangster, he's a target of one of these scams. And it just basically leads into like this rivalry between these old style yakuza and these new scammers. And it's very funny. There's a lot of old, like comedy based around these old folks who know nothing about like modern day language or nuances. And even Beat Takeshi has a really small part as like this police officer comes in, and it's just funny and entertaining.
Cool. I haven't seen it, but I will watch it now. Erik?
I have not seen it.
Okay. When did that come out? Sorry, Ray?
It came out 2015.
Okay.
but I think it was probably one of the one of the lesser known releases, just because it starred a whole bunch of old men, you know. So it probably didn't get all the marketing as, let's say, Rurouni Kenshin, where you have the young Sato Takeru, you know. Instead, you got this. You got who's the actor? Old Fuji Tatsuya, and like a whole bunch of old geezers behind him. So it's like
hard to market that international. Well, probably domestically, let alone internationally.
Yeah. But I really loved it. It's Mike like doing. Not Mike. I'm sorry. It's B Takeshi doing comedy. You know, I think he made his name in Japan as a comedian first before he became a director of all these violent movies. So you really see his comedic chops in this movie.
Great. All right, so we're down to the top 3. Number 3 for me is a film we've spoken about. It's The World of Kanako. Loved it. The reason I loved it is because I'm a big fan of Paul Schrader. I like Paul Schrader's writing. You might not get where's this connection coming from? But Paul Schrader wrote Taxi Driver, of course, a film about a man who goes a bit crazy and then tries to save a young prostitute. And then he followed that up with a directorial film starring a film he wrote and directed, which is called Hardcore, which starred George C. Scott. And it was about a father trying to find his missing daughter. And his missing daughter gets involved in the porn industry. So it's set in the 70s and in like sleazy New York. And The World of Kanako really reminded me of 70s style US movies like Taxi Driver and like Hardcore. Just the subject matter. Obviously, you've got this dad looking for his daughter, and she's involved in some seedy things, and she's not exactly who she seems. And and even the father's this really complex guy, the character. And World of Kanako, fantastic movie, great thriller. I think we've spoken enough about that movie. So, Erik, number 3.
Number 3, baby. It's another one from Hirokazu Kurita, and it's Our Little Sister from 2015.
Cool.
This stars Haruka Ayase from Cyborg Shi, Suzu Hirose, Masami Nagasawa, and Kaho. And it's about 3 adult sisters who take in their half-sister, high school girl, after their father passes away. So again, discussing the plot in this one is kind of pointless because this is really a character interaction film. Fantastic performances. This is the best performance I've ever seen from Ayase, personally. There's a nice dose of everyday humor, and this movie really kind of hit me a little bit emotionally, but it was more like of a tempered emotional hit. It doesn't go for like all out melodrama, I don't think. And it maybe choke up a little bit at certain points. It does a fantastic job of really developing things. And this is the type of, in America, we're trying to promote women in film. This is the type of film that we should be making in America, instead of taking classic films that were starring men and just throw a bunch of women in it, like Ghostbusters. This film, excellent.
I almost put this on my list, but I decided on Like Father, Like Son instead. But yeah, totally agree with you. Great film. And like you said, it's a great film for female actors, and wish there were more movies like that, but unfortunately, no. Ray.
Love this movie too. It's Koreeda's finest, although not my favorite Koreeda movie is going to be on this list later on. But yeah, Our Little Sister, I really enjoyed it. All the actresses in are fantastic, and Nagasawa Masami, she's a cutie, And I think, I can't get enough for it. And even like Hirose Suzu, who played the titular little sister, I think this was during her time when, well, it's only released 2 years ago. I think she was still kind of building her name up at this point in her career, but she showed a lot of promise even just in this role alone. Cool. Yeah, loved it.
Great. So your number 3.
My number 3 is A Ghost of a Chance, directed by Mitani Koki. And it's kind of like Mitani Koki's movies. I think originally, before becoming a film director, he was a stage playwright. So a lot of his movies feel like they would work well on the stage. And this is an ensemble comedy led by Katsu Eri and Nishida Toshiyuki. Nishida, I think, is a regular in all his movies, and he's popped up. The character he plays in this movie, if you guys ever seen the Kiosk Conference, his character made a cameo in that movie as well, because also directed by Mitani. But basically, it's about a defense attorney who has to prove the innocence of her client. And in order to do so, she has to recruit the help of a ghost of this thousands-year-old samurai, and just goes and leads into like all these weird mishaps and misadventures. And it's all sorts of fun comedy. It's really lighthearted. And if you ever played any of the Ace Attorney video games, one of my favorite game series, it reminded me a lot of those, just because of all the types of colorful characters you have in this movie. So yeah, Ghost of a Chance.
Cool. I haven't seen it. Erik?
I have, and I do agree. I do agree with your sentiments. And it did, when you were talking about it, and I was rolling through it in my mind, Ace Attorney came to mind, like the movie, because there were some really interesting court scenes in Ghost of a Chance that were quite a lot of fun. So yeah, I enjoyed that one.
Cool. All right. We're down to number 2. All right. Number 2 for me is a movie I reviewed pretty recently. We've spoken about it already. I haven't really given my thoughts. My thoughts and my review, I still stand by them. This is A Silent Voice. Technically, I think Your Name is probably a better movie for visuals, I guess. But A Silent Voice, I just found myself really connecting with the characters. I think it's a very, it's a hard story for some people to connect with, because maybe they don't want to. I think most people probably experience bullying at some stage, and not everybody has suicidal thoughts. But again, when I was younger, I had really bad depression and had episodes with that. Wasn't bullied at school really, but it really connected with me, and like purely at an emotional level, I thought it was a beautiful film. All the characters are really flawed. They're not perfect. A lot of people might shy away from this one because it's not your typical anime with your, hey, what's going on, guys? Those characters. It's very grounded, I think. And yeah, the subject matter, bullying, suicide is very strong. And yeah, I think it's a movie that everyone should watch, even if it doesn't sound like something you're interested in. You should still watch it anyway, just because, to get a better understanding, because it felt really real to me. Ray, you already spoke about this. Did you have anything else you wanted to say?
No, I absolutely agree with everything you said. It's a wonderful movie, and it made a lot of cool choices when it came to depicting the main character's depression. Like how pretty much, remember how when as he went about day to day, pretty much everyone in the background, like he never paid attention to everyone because he didn't want to. He was scared of human interaction. Yeah, so basically everyone in the background was covered with a giant X. You didn't know
they
who
had the X over their face.
Yeah, and I thought it was really cool. Once he started opening up, you see more and more of those X's disappear, and I thought that was really clever in the way they portrayed that part of his depression.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it's like. Even for people that have like social anxiety and things like that, you kind of, like, for me personally, like I'm not a person that has 2,000 friends on Facebook or anything like that. I can communicate with people quite easily, but to open up to people and have people really close to me, it takes time, even as a grown man. And I liked that, because as somebody that went through that, it just felt real. Erik?
Yeah.
I have not seen this.
You've not seen it, yeah. You need to, man.
I will get on it.
Okay, you're number 2.
Said I had 2 oddball films. This is the second one, and it's a horror film. It's called Miss Zombie from 2013. It's directed by a director who, one of his pseudonyms is Sabu. He previously directed Postman Blues, which was really good, and Drive. This is about, I have to read my notes to get the plot right here. This takes place in a reality where like zombie infections have a lot of different stages, and the full-blown zombie transformations take years to complete. So zombies with like a low virus count would be used as household servants, cheap labor, since they're relatively harmless. And one of those zombies is the protagonist in the film. So this film is shot beautifully in black and white. And I think the reason for that is because there's very little dialogue in the film, because your main protagonist is this zombie woman. It's a little bit, it's on the artsy side. It's very slow, repetitive, but it's really interesting stuff. Has some disturbing moments to it. And her interaction with the humans is very, there's a huge variety with it too. So I don't want to spoil anything, but I really love this movie. And I think it's one of the best zombie films ever made. Great.
Ray, you seen
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it, but I've seen it, I think, like just walking around the DVD rental shop. But nah, I don't. Is it one of the? It's you said it's like an art house movie, right?
Yeah, it's pretty artsy.
Yeah, that's probably the reason I never picked it up, because it wasn't like a big theatrical release. I've only seen it in the DVD rental shop, and I think because of that, probably just like passed on it and moved on to the next thing on the shelf. But yeah.
Miss Zombie. Well, there you go.
You can watch it without subtitles too, because the dialogue is pretty minimal.
Right. Cool. Right, Ray, you're number 2.
My number 2 is Like Father, Like Son, which
right.
I think we all spoken about. One thing I'll add is I really like the dynamics between the two families. You had the family who has everything, but except the love between each of the members. So you have the family who doesn't really have anything, but their love is a lot more. And you kind of see what happens when they go through a period where they try to let their biological kid live with their respective families, and you see how like each respective upbringings, like how it affects the kid when they try to adapt to the other family. And the best thing I like about this movie is the questions it makes yourself ask. Like, if it were me, what would I do? It's like you see how the characters, the decisions that they make, and how it's written to go through. And I thought everything that took place was really interesting. The performances were great, and like for me, this was like kind of the standard of every single Lily Frankie character to have come. He played the dad of the poor family. So if you ever seen him in like Yakuza Apocalypse, or he's also in Scoop, he always plays the same character. But I feel like his character in Like Father, Like Son is it's still like similar to his other characters, but it's my favorite version of them.
Yeah. I also like, just to add a little bit more to a movie we've all spoken about, though, the insecurities of the father. What's the main actor's name? I forget.
Fukuyama Masaharu?
Yeah. He's so insecure, and he seems to have this idea that, it doesn't matter. He's my son, he's blood, so therefore he's my son. He should love me. And then you see his, the opposite family, like just the dynamics. It's not really the women. The women seem to be okay with, it's my son. I raised the son. But the father seems to have, he's very stubborn and very old school. And I don't know if that's kind of a Japanese thing where blood, it's more important to have the blood connection than a psychological. I'm not sure. You might know more about that than I do.
I don't think you really come across those kinds of situations, but I know that I haven't really met any families with adopted kids. I don't think it's like a big much of a thing here. I think they probably marry into families that have kids, but as far as having a child, like having a child that's not yours, that's a very, very rare occurrence, I think. Oh, I could be wrong. It's just not in the kind of social circles I come across.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was an old-fashioned feeling,
Yeah. Cool.
One of the best lines in the movie very early on was his reaction when he heard the news. Because remember, his kid that he has isn't really excelling at some of the things he wants him to excel at. And when he hears the news that the kids were swapped, just anybody who hasn't seen the movie, pay attention. You're going to catch a little tidbit there that tells a lot about his character early on in the film.
Yeah.
most definitely.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
All right, here we are at number 1. You can probably guess mine from what I've said. My number 1 film from 2010 to 2017 is Confessions. Fantastic movie. I believe this is based on a book.
Based on a book.
I haven't read the book. I'm pretty sure there is an English translation. I need to pick it up. I absolutely adore this film. It is dark. It goes to places that you don't expect it to go. Again, it has a great female lead. I was unaware that she was the singer in the Japanese version of Frozen, which is strange because you watch Confessions and you're like, that's, wow, I can't even imagine that. We've already spoken about the plot. The plot is about a school teacher. Her child is killed. She suspects it's one of her students. And that's all I want to say about the film. I don't really want to say any more other than you need to watch it. It's one of my favorite Japanese films of all time. I think it's the ending. The ending is crazy. Again, a movie that I do not think would ever be made in a Western setting, particularly, what I can talk about Australia, and Australia is very similar to the US in terms of that stuff, but I don't think it would ever be made here. Ray, any extras you want to add?
After watching the movie, I was still working in the school, and I kind of almost didn't want to drink school milk again. That's what I'll add. Yeah.
All right, Erik, your turn. Number 1.
All right. Number 1 here is Confession of Murder. Oh, wait, that's the wrong country. I'm going to have to just go with Confessions then. That's my number 1 as well.
Hey, there you go.
Wow. Now, another tasty tidbit here, Takako Matsu. I saw her back in the day in a film called The Hidden Blade back in 2004, which is a great samurai film for anybody who hasn't seen that. Another thing, this is the film Confessions where Nakashima went dark on us, because before he was doing a lot of fun stuff like Kamikaze Girls and stuff like that. And he did an excellent job in this, really with even just the opening 20 minutes of this film are just outstanding. Just the visuals and how that whole scene comes into play. So yes, it's number 1 on my list as well.
Great. Just so you guys know who are watching this and who will watch it after it goes live, we do not know each other's picks before this. We have no idea. We just go in blind. So the fact that during this list we've had some, that are very close together, but I had no idea that Erik was going to choose that as number 1. I
think one reason for that is the availability of Japanese films with subtitles might be a little bit less than South Korean.
Yeah.
So there's less of a pool, I think.
Yeah, I think you're exact. Yeah, I agree. All right, Ray, this is it.
My number 1 is a film that both you guys have mentioned throughout the list, but Why Don't You Play in Hell was my personal favorite of the past 7 years. And that is because of Nikaido Fumi. Got introduced to her in Lesson of the Evil, started paying more attention to her, and to see her act the way she did in Why Don't You Play Hell, it was entertaining. It was hilarious, and she was smoking hot.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So hot in that movie.
It was hot. I didn't expect her to be like. I was like, and and it was fun. It was very kinetic, and a lot of the moments when you had the fuck bombers directing a live Yakuza fight, it was just funny. It's like after everyone gets sliced up and torn up, they're all bleeding on the floor. Then the Hasegawa Hiroki, the director, is like, "All right, stop. Can we do that again?" It's like, what's going on? It was like, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And also, I'm a big fan of what's his name? God, I don't want to say the wrong name. Matsumoto, or I'm thinking of the guitarist of Bees. What the hell is he plays the Bruce Lee kind of
Sakaguchi.
Sakaguchi. Matsumoto Tak is the name of the guitarist of the band Bees. Sakaguchi Tak is him, and he did a lot of low budget B movies, which I'm a fan of. Erik seems to know what I'm talking about, and I absolutely love him in those movies. He's fun. You watch him like in the same way you watch a Steven Seagal movie. You know what you get yourself into, right? And then to see him kind of actually do some kind of acting work in this movie, it was surprising. I was like, wow, he can actually do some stuff. Because his typical character is like the stone-faced lead here who just like throws some punches, who just boxes. Like, and that's pretty much what you would watch a Sakaguchi Taka movie for, but he was a bit different in this movie, and it was quite entertaining at the same time. But yeah, Why Don't You Play in Hell?
Yeah, I think that film is one of those things, if you want to just show people, this is what Japanese cinema can do. You know, everybody has this whole idea about, oh, Japanese cinema is crazy. It's like, yep, show them this film. Yes, it is. It's fucking crazy. But it's also amazing. It's one of the best films Sion Sono's made in a long time. Again, I put it in my honorable mentions. That's one we've all talked about.
One way or another, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's it, guys. That's our top 20 films from 2010 to 2017. We should probably do 2000 to 2009 next.
That'll be a lot harder, I think. There's a lot of good things during that time.
I actually think the 90s might be the hardest for me.
Ooh.
Yeah. I already know what Erik's number one for the 90s will be.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, man. The suspense is completely gone.
Oh, it's all right. By the time we get around to it, maybe people will forget. But we'll definitely do 2009 to 2010 next. We'll do the same with the South Korean films, but we'll add Jason to the mix next time.
Yeah.
So that'll be good. Cool. Did you guys want to promote your channels while you're here? We'll start with Ray.
Hit me and Jason up on Asian Filmist. We don't update so much nowadays just because we're both busy with our respective full-time jobs, unfortunately, but we try to update when we can. Yeah, Asian Filmist, still going strong.
Yeah. It's good quality content, guys. Check them out. Erik?
Yes. You could check me out as the Asian Movie Enthusiast on YouTube. I cover as much as I can regarding Asian film. I'm going through my DVD collection now. I'm actually getting close on my Takashi Miike filmography write-up. I'm going to need maybe a few more months, but I'm going to cover about 80 of his movies, so I need a little time.
Wow. Well, somebody's got to do it. I'm glad it's you, not me. All right, guys. Well, can I post all the movies you guys mentioned? Yes, of course. We'll add our lists as well. Once this has gone, well, I think YouTube, it needs to process the video. It might take a while. It doesn't go up straight away after the live stream. It might be a few hours, but once it's up, I will put my honorable mentions and my top 20 in the comments, and I'm sure the other guys wouldn't mind doing the same.
For sure.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone that watched. It was sitting around 20 viewers at one stage, which is good. The last one that we did for the South Korean ones has had almost 2,000 plays, which is pretty good for
in 2 weeks.
Yeah, for something that's had like, what was it? That was like 2 hours or something, and this one's getting close to 3. So I don't know. I'd watch it if it was me, but I'm not going to watch it because I just took part in it. But thank you.
I gotta say, I think we really contribute something because you're not really going to find this anywhere else on YouTube.
No, you're not.
Guys just really doing all these movies.
Well, that's what I was saying before. It's just, you've got Asian filmists, Asian movie enthusiasts, myself, there's Sean the Silver Spleen. It's a shame Ryan, I don't know what happened with Ryan. He just stopped producing stuff. I don't know. He was planning on going back to uni, so maybe that I should email him actually and find out what's going on. But, Asian film reviewers unite.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to go make myself a cup of tea. Erik, you should go to bed.
Yeah. Maybe I'll watch an Asian movie instead. I don't know. I haven't decided yet.
You haven't decided yet.
You can watch Terraformers if you need some help.
No, I think I'll just go to sleep. Yeah.
Why don't you? There was actually one movie I was going to put on my list, but I completely forgot. It was the live action Kiki's Delivery Service.
Oh.
Yeah, that was
A
another.
shot at Shimitsu there. Okay.
Oh god, maybe we should do a like top 10 worst. Oh, it would be
Adaptations.
yeah, or something. Like, there's so many bad ones. Wow.
Oh, that's a tough. Yeah, number one for me. Number one would probably be Terraformers. I don't know, just because expectations
hard to
were
beat.
here, expectations
I
were
know.
here, and delivery was right here.
Yeah.
Down there.
I think we can all agree if we all made a list, that would probably be number one on all the lists of worst films. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. Thanks for joining me, guys. I'll talk to you very soon.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
See you later.
Yeah. See ya. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.